วัสดีค่ะคุณเพิร์ทได้ยินไหมคะ
โอเคได้ยินแล้วครับผมได้ยินไหมเอ่ย
ได้ยินค่ะได้ยิน
เสียงผมเป็นยังไงโอเคไหมครับ
ได้อยู่ค่ะ
โอเคเสียงอาจารย์มันเบาๆนิดนึงครับผม
ได้ยินชัดขึ้นไหมคะ
โอเคดีขึ้นเยอะเลยค่ะเมื่อกี้มันเบา
โอเคได้อาจารย์ปูนเทสเสียงหน่อยค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะได้ยินไหมคะ
คุณยาสวัสดีครับโอเคกล้องผมขึ้นแล้วนะขึ้นหรือเปล่าโอเคได้ครับ
ได้ตอนนี้เรามี47คนเข้ามานะคะ
โอเค
เดี๋ยวเราจะเริ่มบรรยายกันประมาณ10 โมงเพราะฉะนั้นเดี๋ยวจะขอพูดเปิดก่อน
ได้เลย
สักประมาณอีก5 นาทีเราค่อยพูดเริ่มดีกว่า
ได้เลยครับ
เด็กๆที่เข้ามาแล้วถ้าหากว่าใครมีคำถามสามารถถามในตอนท้ายได้เลยนะคะเดี๋ยววันนี้เราจะบรรยายเป็นภาษาอังกฤษแต่ในช่วงถามตอบนี้ก็คือจะสามารถถามเป็นภาษาไทยได้เนาะ
ได้ครับผม
ค่ะ
จริงๆผมมีเตรียมเป็นลิงก์แบบเป็นสไลด์ดูให้เขาเข้ามาพิมพ์คำถามได้อยู่แล้วครับเผื่อนักเรียนท่านไหนเขาแบบมีคำถามจะได้แบบพิมพ์ทิ้งไว้เดี๋ยวจะได้มาดูตอนจบเนาะครับผม
โอเคค่ะ
อะไรครับ
วันนี้คนสมัครมา300 กว่าคนเดี๋ยวเราจะดูว่าจะถึงเป้าไหม
คอร์สออนไลน์ก็หาร2ไว้ก่อนครับหนึ่งนะได้
ตอนนี้คุณเพิร์ทเป็นไงบ้างคะสถานการณ์ที่นู่น
ได้ครับก็เรื่อยๆครับผมไม่ค่อยมีอะไรเท่าไหร่แต่ว่าเหมือนกับก็คือมีคนติดประมาณวันนี้น่าจะประมาณ15 คนครับแล้วก็แต่มันล็อกดาวน์อยู่ประมาณน่าจะถึงวันไหนไม่รู้เหมือนกันครับผมใช่ที่นี่เขาเกิน10ก็ล็อกดาวน์แหละ
ของเราประเทศไทยเท่าไหร่แล้วคะอาจารย์ปูรายงานกันสิ
13,000นะคะไม่นึกเหมือนกันว่าเราจะมาถึงจุดนี้ โดยเฉพาะพื้นที่ของเรานะคะที่สงขลาก็ขึ้นหลักร้อยมาหลายวันแล้วใช่ก็นั่นแหละค่ะก็ทำให้การเรียนการสอนตอนนี้ก็คือเป็นออนไลน์เป็นหลักนะคะ
อันนี้สอนมาตั้งแต่ตอนไหนแล้วนะครับหมายถึงว่าออนไลน์ครับ
จริงๆเราเริ่มออนไลน์ตั้งแต่เทอมที่แล้วค่ะแต่ว่าเทอมที่แล้วเนี่ยยังมีโอกาสที่นักศึกษาได้มาแต่ว่าเทอมนี้เนี่ยด้วยเหตุการณ์ที่มันค่อนข้างที่จะ รุนแรงกว่าเดิมอะค่ะมันก็เลยทำให้นักศึกษาเนี่ยไม่สามารถจะเข้ามาได้ก็เป็นข้อเสียอย่างหนึ่งที่ทำให้เราไม่ได้เจอหน้ากันนะคะแล้วก็อีกอย่างมันทำให้การเรียนการสอน
มันก็จะใช่อาจจะแบบแปลกๆนิดนึงเรื่องมันจะไม่ชินหรือเปล่า
ด้วยแล้วก็เรื่องของการที่แบบเรียกว่า motivate อย่างเงี้ยมันอาจจะน้อยหน่อยนะ engagement มันน้อยหน่อยก็เราก็ทำได้แค่นี้ตอนนี้นะคะแล้วก็จริงๆต้องขอบคุณคุณเพิร์ลเหมือนกันที่รับมาเป็นวิทยากรวันนี้นะคะเพราะน้องๆน่าจะสนใจนะคะเผื่อแบบว่าจะอนาคตน้องๆอยากจะมีโอกาสเนี่ยไปทำงานต่างประเทศอย่างเงี้ย
มาเลยรอโควิดหมดก่อนลำบากจริงโอเคเดี๋ยวโอเคได้รอแป๊บนึงก็ได้ครับสบายวันนี้ครับผมเนาะ
ของเรามีเด็กคณะอื่นมาสมัครเยอะมากมีทั้งวิศวะวิทยาศาสตร์คณะหลักสูตรยางพาราไทยจีนก็มานะคะแล้วก็ทรัพยากรธรรมชาติก็
อันนี้คือเป็นแบบของ International College หมดเลยหรือเปล่าครับใช่ไหมเพราะมันกับมีส่วนของ Inter อยู่เนาะหรือเปล่า
มีหลักสูตรที่เป็น Inter ด้วยค่ะแล้วก็เป็นหลักสูตร
โอเคได้ครับผม อันนี้คือคุณยายที่มหาลัยนะครับผม
ใช่ค่ะ
โอ้ไม่ work from home
ของเราสลับวันเจ้าหน้าที่เราสลับแบ่งเป็นทีมค่ะ2 ทีมลดจำนวนคนที่เข้าออฟฟิศใช่แล้วก็สลับกันมา
ให้ลดความเสี่ยงด้วยเผื่อใครติดแล้วก็จะได้ไม่กระทบเยอะอะไรอย่างนี้
ใช่ใช่ข
ดี
อง
ครับ
อา
ดี
จารย์ปูนสอนออนไลน์ 100% work from
ใช่
home อยู่บ้านค่ะ
ใช่
ก็ดีนะครับสะดวกทำกับข้าวแล้วก็วิ่งกลับมาได้อะไรอย่างนี้
โอเคอีก1 นาทีเดี๋ยวเราเริ่มพิธีเปิดอีก
ได้ครับ
เด็กๆตอนนี้เข้ามา7น่าจะทยอยเข้ามา วันนี้เรามีลิงก์2ตัวซูมเนี่ย2 ตัวใช่เพราะตอนแรกเพราะว่าลิงก์ตัวหนึ่งสามารถจุได้300 คน
ครับผม
กลัวว่าจะมากันเกิน
ได้ครับเดี๋ยวดูน่าจะไม่เกินนะตอนนี้ยังเพิ่ง80อยู่กำลังทยอยเข้ามาได้ครับบดไปเลย5 นาทีเผื่อเขาแบบอาจจะเข้ามาตรงเป๊ะหรือเปล่าผมไม่แน่ใจ
อยากเปิดก่อนเลยก็ได้เดี๋ยวจะได้ไม่เสียเวลา
โอเคงั้นเดี๋ยวเราเริ่มพิธีเปิดกองดีกว่าขอเป็นภาษาอังกฤษเลยนะคะเดี๋ยวโอเค Welcome everyone นะคะ to the Preparatory workshop for Cooperative Education and Internship program so today we have special guest ค่ะคุณวรัชนะงามตระกูลชน He's currently working for Servant Cognizant Group company ค่ะ so before we start I would like to welcome Assistant Professor Dr. อาทิตยานิชโชยค่ะ for the welcome speech
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I hope you guys getting up already. It's actually almost 10 a.m. in Songkhla, in Thailand. And what time is it compared in Australia?
Now it's almost 1 p.m.
Okay. So I hope you guys getting up already and getting ready for the workshop. Okay. And this is a great honor for us to get the good and great speaker, which is compared. And he used to work in Thailand before, and then he has the chance to working abroad. And right now he's in Australia. All right. So I hope you guys will get the experiences and then get the knowledge from him. And feel free to ask him anything, okay? And you need to use this opportunity to explore yourself and also don't be shy, all right? Just ask, because the workshop is gonna be relaxing style. So it's like friend, friend. And if you don't understand anything, because we are going to talk in English, you can, raise your hand. Maybe we have Thai session for you for translating, and then Kun Pert can understand, Thai because he's Thai. All right. So I would like to give the floor, to Kun Pert in order to introduce himself and then move on to the presentation. Okay. Thank you very much.
โอเคค่ะ Thank you ค่ะอาจารย์ปูน
ขอบคุณค่ะ Hi everyone.
Okay, shall we start?
Yep. All right, sounds good. Let me share my screen real quick. Should work. Let me know when it comes up. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Can you see my screen now? Awesome. Right. Yeah. So hello everyone. So as Ajahn Aditya said, so I'm working abroad at the moment, and today I will be sharing with you my journey to be working abroad, and also like the tips and tricks on how should you be ready to come working abroad. And yeah, so feel free to ask any questions. So I will be putting the link in the slide very soon, and then please feel free to put that question, and then we can go through that at the end. All right. Let's just introduce yourself. Just introduce myself very quickly. So my name is Perth. I'm working at Servian in Australia as a senior data consultant at the moment. So I'm running the two of my projects in Thailand. So it's we call Design New and Data TH, but I will tell you more about it later. And yeah, well, first of all, let's before we start, then I want to hear from all of you who are here. And do you want to work abroad and why? Please put that in the chat and let's see. Into the chat. Okay. Tell me a bit about like why do you want to work abroad or why you don't want to work abroad? That'd be awesome. Anyone?
Don't be shy, okay? Just answer. Just typing in the chat box.
Yeah, it's fine.
Then we
Yeah,
can start. Yes.
I'm not gonna know any of you, so yeah, feel free.
เด็กๆใครอยากไปต่างประเทศกันบ้างคะสามารถพิมพ์ได้นะเงียบ
Yeah.
สงสัยยัง
Maybe they're a bit sleepy.
เต้
That's
นตกใจ
fine.
กัน
Yeah,
อยู่
that's okay.
ใช่
Okay, yeah, no, we have some people already start typing. That's awesome. Yeah, of course I do. Okay. Yeah, but why do you want to work abroad though? Like, is it because do you want higher salary or do you want to have a better life quality? Yeah, let's discuss. You know, like just for myself, I want to work abroad because I prefer to have like the better life quality here. So there's like, I'm not saying that it's better government, but it's better in terms of you pay higher tax, but then that tax money go into like improving the city, and you can see that everything is improving. So that's why I prefer to be working abroad. Yeah, okay, awesome. So yeah, we have few more people. Yeah, work abroad because I want to leave this country, man. Okay. Right, and then there's one person saying, yeah, because you want to get into the new experience. Yes, yeah, I think that's also one of the reasons that everyone want to like work abroad, and then I think that's very valid. Yeah, so you can see a lot of new culture when you are actually working abroad. We just wait for a few more people to type, and then yeah, we will just continue. Yeah, and working abroad is like, well, we will discuss in this talk about how do you work abroad and what pathway do you have. So, all right. Okay, so there's Kun Nadia talk about the need for a better life and the family. Yeah, I think that's very valid because then we all love our family and then we want our family to have like better life quality. And yeah, I think that's the very good reason to move to like working abroad. All right, then. Before we start, let's establish some rules. So the first thing is that like if you find anything interesting in this talk, then feel free to take note or capture anything you need. Like there's no copyright on it because I like most of the information here I research myself, so that's fine. And the second thing is every question is a good question. So in the short moment, I will be giving you the link on slide.do if anyone has tried before. So you can use your mobile phone or your laptop to go into this link and then just put the room name and you can just put in your question. And the good thing about Slido is you can put the question like anonymously. So I wouldn't know like who asked that question. And that's good. So here's the link for the question. So if you go into slide.do and then you type the room name PSU-Perth, then you will be able to get into the web page where you can put in your question. And if you find any interesting question from your friends, then definitely click to vote that question, so it go into the top, so it can get answered quickly. And we will go through that all that question at the end. And I will be showing this like after we finish each section, so you can go back if you forgot the link. All right, then let's talk about the agenda that we have today. So the first thing is the first section we'll be talking about how I went from working in Thailand to abroad. So that will be giving you some idea of the pathway that you can also take to go working abroad. And second one, then we will be talking about should you work abroad. So this will be just the pros and cons of the whether you should work in Thailand, you should work abroad, and then you can see for yourself if you actually like that pros and if you are accept with that disadvantages that you might get when you work abroad. And the third one is about how can you go to work abroad. So I will be presenting different pathway that you can do to work abroad. So I'm researching this from like myself and also from my friends who are already working abroad to ask them about like how did they go to work abroad. And the last one is we will be talking about where should you work. So this one is the highlight of this session. So I did a lot of research, and then I speak to many of my friends, and then ask them about like the pros and cons of different countries. So I have a friend who work in like Singapore or Japan or in US or in myself in Australia. So we will list the pros and cons of what you get and what you wouldn't get when you work in those countries. And yeah, and then we'll have Q&A time at the end. So yeah, let's get started. So the first one, the first topic we'll be talking about is about working abroad. So I will be telling you about like how did I transition from working in Thailand to work abroad, because then I guess many of the people here might be in the same route. So after you graduate from school, then you might go into working like in the company in Thailand, and then you will be start thinking about how can you go to work abroad. And then yeah, so I was just presenting one of my pathway that I did, and then that's how I get here. So before we go to that, then let's chat a bit first. Then what do you think is the level of English that do you think we need to work abroad? Please type that in the chat, and yeah, we will see. Because there's a lot of people like asking me about where do they improve their English, or what kind of level of English do they need. So like, do they need like IELTS 8.0, or what level that will allow them to work in abroad? So yeah, please put into the chat on what do you think. And Ajahn Aditya and Ajahn Darat, feel free to put your opinion in the chat as well. So yeah, we can get different opinions and then we can discuss. Okay. So that's one person said basic English. Okay, IELTS more than 6. Okay, I think that's very valid. Okay. So everyone know IELTS, so that's good. Awesome. IELTS 6. Okay. At least write and communicate to each other. Okay. Yeah, I think yeah, that's good one. Is there anyone else who want to discuss on this? Because I would love to know, like, what do you guys think about what level of English do you think we need to work abroad? Because that's like kind of one of the number one question that I got asked all the time. All right, then can I just get going? Oh, business English? Yeah. Yeah, I think that's very valid. Like, okay, let me just expand more on that in the next slide very soon. So just to give you my opinion first. So I don't think you have to be very fluent in English. You can speak, and if you can speak and listen at like basic level, then that's like good enough. And I'll just show you like my study life. So from preschool to grade 9, I never actually like used English because I was living in Thailand that whole time with my family. And in grade 10, I was like just get sent to as exchange student in US. So well, it's a good opportunity, but then let me tell you more about it very soon. So who in this room has been exchange student before? Can you please type 1 in the chat so we know that how many exchange students we have in the room? Yeah, and let me tell you the reality about the exchange student. So exchange student is basically a program that kind of like throw you, I would say, into the new country, and then you get to see new culture and live with the host family whom you might never met in your life. And you got to eat different food that you have never had in Thailand, like maybe a lot of Western food if you go to US, and do the activities that you have never done. So I have been an opportunity to do the activities such as like joining the track team or doing the ice skating, doing the snowboarding in winter, and also filming the short movie. And also like joining some debate events where I just like couldn't understand anyone, and I just like sit there and then spoke for 30 seconds in 2 whole days. So yeah, sometimes they are like very fun activities, and sometimes they get really challenging. And my biggest obstacle when I was in the US was like English. I almost didn't talk to any friend during my first month there. I just like sit there or just stand there and just smile because I was like, oh, I don't understand what you are saying. And I guess that could happen to anyone, but then if it happened to you, then that's totally fine because it's just like the start of when you actually get into that country. And then, well, and I was feeling like very terrible because I realized that the English that I learned for my first like 15 years of my life was not helpful at all. Like the accent is not right. It's not similar to the how people in US talk, or even when I speak, then they don't understand me because how I use the different word or different accent. So yeah, so I still remember my first day after school in the US. So I came home and then I felt very terrible, and then I was like crying in bed. Well, thinking to myself like, why did I choose to come to the US? And it is the biggest mistake to myself. And asking myself on like, how do I go back in my first month to escape this like nightmare? Yeah, but that's like the very dramatic story, right? So well, I'm sure you can get more of that from like Korean drama in Netflix. And well, in the end, I found that I grew a lot that year because I constantly faced with new people and new culture. And I also found myself to become like more capable of living independently. So instead of relying on other people, then I can just like cook or I can do different things by myself. So just to summarize, like the year as an exchange student for me is a great experience, even though the start is not that great. And it actually like made me who I am today. Like I'm thinking about how do I go working abroad and that kind of stuff. And so if you have any chance to go to live outside of Thailand, like far away from your family, from your home country, even for like a short period, then I definitely encourage you to try. Like at the moment, well, maybe after COVID, you can try like the exchange program in the university as well. That could be a good starting point. And well, so in grade 12, I already have that slide up for a long time. But yeah, so there's nothing exciting after that when I came back to Thailand. So I just jumped into international school just because they allow me to jump into grade 12 instead of I have like in Thai school, I have to go back to grade 11 again. But I already did that in my exchange student year. So yeah, so and the first half is like very good. It's like carefree life. But then I study very hard that year at the second half of the year because I want to get into the Chulalongkorn University. And well, because like I saw my sister have like very freedom life when she moved there into Bangkok. My hometown is in Chonburi, so far away from parents is like yeah kind of
เน้น
good.
ชื่อช่วง
Oh, sorry. All right, no worry. Okay, let's continue. So yeah, so in the end, I managed to like drag myself into Chulalongkorn, and then I did my bachelor in automotive engineering, and I study a lot of like physics and calculus. And my GPA, well, I think many of the engineering students here can relate. So my GPA is around like 2. Well, I managed to get up to 3 in my last semester in my last year. But yeah, I mean, I start at GPA 2, so that's like pretty difficult. And yeah, 4 years has passed when in my bachelor degree, and then I graduated in the end, obviously. But I didn't work in automotive engineering or anything near that at all. So let me show you the next timeline, which is about like my working life. So as we all know, I graduated from the bachelor degree in Chulalongkorn, and then I was working, well, so what I found is that even though I graduated from automotive engineering, I didn't find automotive engineering to be the field that I want to pursue. So that's why I became like web developer after that, which is not related to that at all. So I just like, because I started doing the freelance work since I was in like 3rd year of my bachelor degree. So I kind of have some of the knowledge of that. So I first joined the digital agency. So that digital agency is like the company where they do like all the service. So they provide like the web design, they provide the web development, they provide like kind of end to end to help the company to work on their marketing. And yeah, so after almost 2 years of working at digital agency, so I leave the company, and then I opened my own company because I knew someone who has like the very good stream of work. So I just like open my own company and then just get that work and start working. But the company is only run for like almost 2 years, so it didn't go that well. So I quit the company again. I quit my own company basically, and then I just start doing the freelance work. And I found that freelance work is a bit more flexible for me because then I can manage my own time, and then I can manage my own project on what I want to do. So yeah, so that's my 4 year as a web developer. And then I start to realize that I need to get a bit more of the study so that I can have more skill in just not just the web development skill. So I decided to come to Monash University in Australia to do the master degree for 2 years in Master of Data Science, because well, at that, like before that year, I went into one of the event at the university, and then there was like there was 2 seniors who come from Twitter and Facebook who did like the data scientist, and then they talk about why the data might be the good upcoming trend. So yeah, so I was there, and then I was like very inspired by that talk, and then that's why I decided to come to study in this field. And yeah, and 2 years later, I completed my master degree, and then I become a data consultant. So I start from like the just data analyst, and then I kind of like go up the ladder, and then now I become the senior data consultant now. So I've been working at Servian for 2.5 years, and then who know where I'm going next. But yeah, but again, but that's just the whole story. So if you want to like, so you can see that you don't have to study in the same area that you want to work in. If you study now, then you found that there's other field that you prefer more, then yeah, feel free to jump there. And you can always take the master degree to kind of like reset yourself to be equal to other people. And yeah, and then, well, the reason I'm telling you like this whole timeline is like, as you can see, well, I did my bachelor degree in automotive engineering, but then I found myself to enjoy working more like in tech industry. So if there's one thing you can take away from my talk, is this. So as I mentioned before, then you don't have to work in the field you are studying. And please don't feel like you have to work in the same area just because you study that thing during the bachelor degree or master degree. Because nothing can stop you from trying other different career paths. And some people might tell you that you have to be working in this or that area. But yeah, we are not slaves, so feel free to do anything that you like, because in the end it's going to be your own life, and then when you get old, then no one actually supports you. And yeah, and let me give you an example. So if you are studying like digital media today, and nothing prevents you to become like software engineer or data scientist in the future. So feel free to explore different things and then see what you like the most. And in fact, like more than 50% of people that I've met in software engineer field or data science field don't actually finish bachelor degree in computer science. So you can see that's that. And well, especially in data science field, like back in my year, well, not that long, it's like just 9 years, 10 years, not that long. And back in that time, there's no data science like degree at all. So you can see that most people are actually coming from different like degree. Some are from engineering, some might be from like not related to tech at all, and that is still okay if you like willing to upskill in data science. And yeah, so that's my advice, to try different things and make a lot of mistakes and see what you like most. Like in your after you graduate, even in your like 20 to 30 years old, then you still have a lot of time to like try different things and see what works for you. And yeah, we usually scared to make a mistake, but it's like totally okay to make a mistake, because no one can become like successful by making zero mistake in their lives. And that's just the truth. And yeah, and by making mistake, you will also learn how to make like less mistake in the future and becoming a better person. So yeah, encourage you to try different things and maybe try something that's outside of your career at the moment. And yeah, and well, today I just like quickly recommend the field that works surprisingly well for me when working abroad, which is the tech industry. So I've been working in tech industry for almost 10 years now. So let me try to persuade you on why should you start your career here. And if you are already studying in tech industry, then that's good. If you are like designing or programming, then that's good. But if you are not studying in the tech industry yet, then it's not too late to start learning now. You can combine that with the knowledge that you already have. So I'll give you an example very soon. So tech industry usually means like design, programming, or data. So you can see that these skills are something that can be like easily transferable when you go abroad. Like if you know how to program, then you don't really need to relearn how to program when you go abroad. And that's a good thing. So well, the first thing is like good pay. So you can see that there's a lot of like big companies, big tech companies, for example, like Google, Amazon, or Facebook, and they are paying very well. So if you know how to design programming or data, even though you don't get into that like big company, you will still get into some very decent company that have decent pay. And it's also future proof. So well, we don't see that people will stop using the phone in like 10 years from now. Well, but we don't know, right? But I mean, yeah, we don't see that future yet, or we don't know that. Well, we don't see that people will stop using the internet anytime soon. So yeah, if you know how to design or programming or doing like data analysis, then that will take you very long way. And this one is what I already mentioned. So it's like transferable skill for working abroad. So if you know, for example, how to design the website, if you go into like, for example, any country in Europe, then it's gonna be the same skill that you use to design the website. It's just different mindset, different culture, but you can adapt to that, like not that difficult. And yeah, the last thing is you can combine with the other expertise that you might already have. So for example, if you are an engineering student and you start learning how to program, then you can become the engineer who can program, and then you can take your career in very different ways from your friend. Or if you are in the business area, and then you decided to take the data science field, so you can become like the data analyst, or you can become the business analyst to take into use more of the data into your business role. And yeah, and let's talk about where should you upskill in tech. So I put in the Thai resources and English resources just to support with different people. So if you are so first I will be talking about like in the UI UX design field or web development field, if that's what you want to pursue. So for the Thai resource, well, I recommend that you to go to the website called designnew.com. It's not that, yeah, it's one of the best website, I would say. Yeah, and we have the Facebook group as well. So we call it just the same name, Design New. So feel free to join that group, and then there's like almost every day posts about like UI UX design and also some of the web development tips. But if you are more, if you prefer to look into English resources, then that's totally fine as well. So I would recommend few of the resources here. So the first one is the Smashing Magazine. So this one is like the website that has a lot of good quality content that you can just start reading it. The second one is the Interaction Design Foundation. So this one is like it is the online course website that you just pay, I think 1 year, just few hundred, and then you get to learn any course there. And the last one is the Google UX Design Professional Certificate. So this one is like the online course by Google. So you can audit for free, I guess. But then if you want the certificate, you have to pay for it. And the material is very good. That sometimes at Design New, sometimes we do like one-on-one coaching for people who want to become UI UX designer. And then we just give this course for the people to getting started, and then we can start mentoring them. And the next one is about data science and data engineer. If you are keen to do that, then there's this website called datath.com. So feel free to join. And then we have the Facebook group as well called Thai Data Scientists. So yeah, so if you are keen into that area, then definitely join. And but for the English resources, then I would recommend like 4 different resources. The first one is called O'Reilly platform. So O'Reilly is one of the most like well-known publisher who do a lot of data science books and also web development books. So in O'Reilly platform, you just pay like one fee for the yearly access, and you can read any book in there. So it's very good price if you compare to like buying books for maybe $50 or $100 each. And the next one is the DataCamp. So DataCamp is the online course that you can pay the yearly fee around $100 to $200, and then you can get access to all the courses that they have available in DataCamp. So there's a lot of courses available there, and then each course is like just few hours, so it's like mini course, and then you get the certificate to put into your LinkedIn as well. And the next one is the DataQuest. So DataQuest is very similar to DataCamp, except that DataQuest doesn't have video at all. So it's more like text-based learning. So if you prefer that kind of thing, then definitely check out DataQuest. It has very good data engineering course there as well. And the last one is Deeplearning Ai. So if you are into like data science, if you are into creating deep learning model, then definitely check out the Deeplearning Ai. It has like 10 courses, and then it has different level of course. It has the like beginner level course, it has the intermediate level course and advanced level course. So just go into it, and then you can study there. I believe many of the courses there are free as well. So yeah, all your resources that you can get started in like UI UX design, web development, or data science field. And as you can see, every resource that I list here, most of them you can get for free. So just get started somewhere, and then you can see like, oh, if you like it or not. All right, then if you have any question, then feel free to put that into Slido, and then I just repeat this again. So just go to slide.do in your mobile phone or your desktop, and then just put in the room name PSU-Perth. And if you find any good question from your friends, then feel free to upvote there, and I will check that at the end. All right. Okay. So the next topic that we will be talking about, which is should you be working abroad? So we will be talking about like the pros and cons of doing that. All right. So decision in terms of should you come to work abroad? Let's go into the pros and cons. But before that, then I want to ask you about what do you think are the advantages of working abroad? And feel free to put that in the chat. We'll see. Oh, just a moment. What happened? why I fix my slide. Oh, okay. So Aditya said it's better salary. Okay, I think that's a good one. Share the slide again. Okay. All right. Share the screen. Okay. All right. See your screen now. Yeah. So please put in the chat on what do you think is the advantages of working abroad. Let's discuss. Okay, so someone said more life experience. Yeah, I think that's very valid. Improve languages skill. Yes, definitely, because you get exposed to the different people and who use. Like sometimes you get to meet the European friends who cannot speak any other language except for like his language or English, and then you are kind of forced to talk to him or her in English. That's very valid. And yeah, what else do you think are the advantages of working abroad? More food experience. Okay, that's very interesting one. Yeah, you get to eat like a lot of different food, but then the caveat is that the food is a bit more expensive. Then so you have to think a bit more about when you start like what you're gonna eat. But yeah, definitely, there's a lot more food choice as well. Like for example, in Australia, then because I live near the market, and then so I went to market like every weekend to buy organic food. So yeah, so there's a lot of like food options that you can get from around here, I guess. Yeah, and anyone else has an idea on what do you think are the advantages of working abroad? Let's get maybe one more, and then we move on. Okay, all right, a good profile is a good one. Yeah, so I guess if you get that kind of the company in your resume, then when you go back to Thailand, then it's definitely help. Okay, so we have the better mental health. Yes, definitely. So well, I'm not saying like living in Thailand is that bad, but I mean, yeah, it probably depends on like your experience as well. All right, then yeah, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so I'll be talking about like the pros of the working abroad first. So this one is based on my experience and also like from me chatting to many friends in different countries. So I've summarized into 5 key advantages here. The first one is the global job market. So what it means is that you get more exposure to the big companies. For example, like as I mentioned before, like Facebook, Google, or even like Amazon. And well, I'm not sure if you have seen the Facebook post like a few days ago, but there was like Thai person who posted on Facebook that he got the job at Amazon. Then he got like the salary of like 1.5 million baht per month or something, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, I wish I could get that. All right, then you will also have access to like the career where there's more demand outside of Thailand or in your hometown. So for example, if you think about like UX designer, maybe in Thailand there's less demand for UX designer at the moment, but then maybe in US there will be more demand for UX designer. But yeah, I think that's like depending on different career as well. And the next one is definitely what Ajahn Ajaya said before. So yeah, it's like it has higher salary, and the wages in other countries such as like Europe or Western countries are usually higher than in Thailand. So well, this includes like other Asian countries like Singapore or Japan or Korea as well. So yeah, so those are the countries that you could be aiming for if you want to have higher salary. And but what does higher salary means though? So if we talk about that, higher salary means that you can have more saving and then you can send more money home. So if you compare to like if you work in Thailand and you get like this amount of salary, and then you get like maybe 3 times that money in other countries, and you have more saving, even though you pay more like cost of living, but then you have more saving so that you can send to your family. So that's always good thing. And yeah, and we might pay more tax with the higher salary, but we will still have more saving in the end. So yeah, I guess that's kind of like the pros and cons. And the next one is the diversity. So, well, if you work abroad, then you will find that you just work with like different age group of people, or different people from different countries as well. So the workplace that like in other countries usually like diverse races or culture or even gender sometimes, and there's no racism in it, because like everyone kind of understand that everyone is there to work, so they are focusing on their work, and then they understand that everyone is different, no one is the same. But yeah, so it's good to always like get exposure to the new cultures, and sometimes you might enjoy and make more friends. Like for example, I used to be working in the project where there are a lot of like Indian friends, and then I found that they are actually very friendly, and then they also like share a lot of food, which is what I like. And yeah, so if you go to work abroad, then you will get to know a lot more people, and then you will see different cultures. You may like it or you may not like it, but that's totally fine. You just have to accept that people are different. And the next one is your own personal growth. So everyone wants to become better as we grow older, right? And living in the new environment and new culture can kind of broaden our mind. We might be happier and can have the better lifestyle, as the student said before, that one of the students said in the chat that he wants to have the better mental health. And yeah, this is also one of the perks when you go working abroad. And yeah, so but definitely, like if you live far away from where you used to live and far away from your parents, it will be challenging life, but then it will be like good in the end. And the last one is survival skill. So well, I just put that in. Well, it does sound like some games or something, but then it's actually very important, because the one benefit of like when you go to work abroad is that there's no parents or there's no relative to kind of support you. So you have to learn how to live by yourself, like live independently. Well, definitely you can just ask them for help, but then it's better to like not doing that. Right. And that because there will be nobody supported in foreign countries, which is like good and bad at the same time, because someone wants to be away from their family, right? Yeah. So yeah, just in the end, just for the survival skill, so we just become the better person and we can live independently, and that's just the summary of it. And now we know a lot about like nice things about working abroad. Then let's look at another side of the coin. Let me ask you about what do you think are the disadvantages of working abroad? Then please type that in the chat. Oh, Ajahn Sija said we'll be missing Thai food, which is true in a way. But I mean, once you find the like good Thai restaurant, then it will be good. It's just at the start that very difficult. Yeah, okay. Hey, homesick. Yeah. So one person said you get homesick. I think that's very valid. Yeah, because you'll be far away from your family and your friends. Like sometimes you make a lot of friends and family back in Thailand already, and then you'll be like, oh, I don't want to move away from them. And I guess that's very valid. Is there anything else that any other people think? So feel free to type in there, like because I can only see your number at the front, so that's fine. So I'm not like judging you or anything. Yeah, just feel like this one is the safe space that you can kind of put in your opinion, and we will discuss about is it good or not good. And okay, and not acceptable to other. I'm not entirely sure what. Okay. Okay. I think you were talking about like because there are many news about people hating Asian, And I guess that's very valid. Like, yeah, I've seen that in many countries, like in US. Yeah, but so the good thing about Australia is that most of the people are Asian anyway, so you don't get racist at all. Like if you go into the city, then you just see like black-haired people walking around, and it's like, yeah. And that's one good thing about like living in big city in Australia, like Melbourne or Sydney. Is there any other disadvantages that anyone can think of? Please put that in the chat. Maybe one more, and then we will continue. Yeah, maybe you feel like maybe you are scared if you want to like working abroad, but then yeah, let's type in. Please let me know in the chat. Then what might be pulling you back from going abroad? All right, it's all good. Then we just continue. And here I just listing all the cons from my experience and chatting with my friends in different countries as well on what's the disadvantages of them working abroad. So the first one is definitely culture shock, as someone already mentioned, like homesick. So that's very similar thing. So culture shock is when we find a new culture to be very, very different from the culture we used to live. So let me give you an example. So one of my friends who work in Germany told me that German are usually very blunt. They just talk what they think, and if they think the work is terrible, then they'll just tell you straight away that the work is really terrible. Like don't do that kind of thing. Whereas in Thailand culture or in Japanese culture, we will find people to be less confrontational attitude. So we might say, like instead of saying, "Oh, the work is terrible," we might say, "Oh, the work is good, but it might be better if you could fix this and that," which actually mean it's bad. Kind of thing. So culture shock can be seen outside of work as well. So not just in the workplace. For example, like you might find different people use toilet very differently from the country where you are from. And the good news is that you will get better with the culture shock as you see it more and more. And just keep in mind that just keep your mind open and just set the low expectation, or sometimes no expectation is the best. And otherwise, then the culture shock can be a very big issue. You will find you'll be like, oh, it's very shocking. You have to do something. But all right, the next one is the language barrier. So the language barrier usually you might think is like English, but well, for English, the good news is there are many ways you could learn. So such as like watching Netflix or take English class. And we also get exposure from English in our daily life, such as like ordering food from shops, or sometimes if you just read the books. And the real issue is the non-English language. So you might go to work in the countries where you cannot speak their national language, and the people there might not be able to speak English that well, such as like in Japan or in some European country where they usually just talk Japanese or they just speak in their national language. The good news is it can be good opportunity for you to learn new language and make new friends. And another good news is that some countries can speak English pretty well, even though their national language is not English. So for example, like the Philippines. Let's talk about the next one. So the next one is the homesickness. So well, this one could come from like culture shock or from the language barrier that we just discussed about. So sometimes you will find the new culture to be much different from where you used to live, and you cannot understand like what they are talking about at all. Like very similar to the situation I faced when I first went to US. And it is also not helpful to know the fact that we are very far away from our friends and family. And we used to be able to just like call them up and then just ask them for dinner. But we cannot do that when you and your friends are like 1,000 miles away. And all these issues add up and build up a lot of stress that make us like miss home so much. And the good news is that when you go into different countries, then you might make a new friends and you might make a new family as well. So that could be something that you can look forward to. And the last thing is about the higher cost of living. So moving to another country with higher wages usually means more expensive food and more expensive house. And it could be the financial challenge if you use money from like one country with lower cost of living. For example, when I took my money from Thai and then spent it here in Australia. And for myself, like the higher cost of living is also one of the culture shock. Because when I first come to Australia, then I went into the restaurant and I found that every dish is super expensive. Like the standard price of the food here is maybe $10 to $15 a dish. Whereas in Thailand, I can just pay like $2 for the same dish. So it makes me like not very comfortable when I buy food outside. But well, that's only for first 2 months. But nowadays I'm just like, okay, yeah, that's just the standard of how it works. But that's fine. All right, so let's wrap this up. So in terms of pros and cons of working abroad, then the pro is definitely like global job market, higher salary, diversity, and personal growth and survival skills. And the con is, as we already talked about, so culture shock and language barrier, homesickness, and the higher cost of living. So we can see that we gain something. For example, we gain higher salary, but then it might come with the higher cost of living. Or maybe we get exposed to the global job market, but then we have to have the homesickness, which is to live far away from our family. So in the end, it's your own choice on who. It's your own choice to decide the future that you want to become. So yeah, just choose wisely and just keep thinking about, is it like worth the pros, that there's some disadvantages that you will get with it. All right, then let's just chat for the last one before we jump to the next section. So do you still want to work abroad after you hear all of these like pros and cons? Please type in the chat so we will see yes or no. For some people, it's very good for that the advantage that we get, but then for some people, like for example, if you live far away from your family, then that's not acceptable. That's like not what you used to be, so you might not like it. All right, then so we have someone saying yes, of course. All right, awesome. Yeah. What about other people? Like, what do you think on the pros and cons of it? Do you still want to go working abroad? Like, because then, as you can see, there's a lot of things that you have to trade off. It's not like you get everything, but then you will not lose anything. If you get something, then you will always lose something, right? Okay. So we have yes. Oh, awesome. Okay. Well, definitely. Then the next section we will be talking about how to do that in the next section, like different pathway that can get you to work abroad. So we have a lot. Yes. And is there any other people who has like no? I would want to hear like why you don't want to work abroad, which is totally fine as well. It's like in the end, it's our own life, so just choose one that suits us the most. Okay, I just show this slide again, just for like if anyone has a question, then feel free to put that in the slide too, and just this room name, and then we will look at it at the end. And yeah, and you can also upvote your friend question. So if you think that question is like something that you are also wondering the same as well, instead of typing the new question, then just vote that question so we can see. Okay, and the next topic, we'll be talking about how can you go to work abroad. And yeah, let's talk about it. So now you learn about the pros and cons of working abroad. And if you still think that it's like very interesting to go to work abroad, then let's talk about what the different pathway that can get you to work abroad. So two main pathway to work abroad is like, the first one is to study and then work, which is the pathway that I took. And then the second way is the only work, like no study at all, which is also valid, because many people like don't like to study, and then that's totally fine. Yeah, but don't tell Ajahn Atitaya when you are here. That's what I need. Okay, and well, let's talk about the pros and cons of like the first pathway, which is to study and then work. So well, one of the pros of for study and then work is that you get higher chance of uh, getting the working visa. So we all know that working visa is very important. And if you want to work abroad, then you have the visa that you need to have the visa that allow you to work abroad. And normally, if you just want to like go to work directly, then sometimes you need the company that sponsor you. But if you go to study first, then normally there's higher chance that you can extend your visa into like working visa. The second one is you have more time to practice English. So if for many people who feels like they need a bit more confidence to speak English, then that's totally fine. Then if you go to study first, then you get a lot more chance to like present in the classroom or talk to your friends who use English as well. So you get that chance to practice your English and then build up your skill. And then you will also get more time to make friends and connections. So I'm talking about, for example, if you go into the events with your friends, then you get to know your friends more. Then if your friends get into a good company, then sometimes they will refer you, and then that will be a lot easier for you to get into the work. But yeah, well, there are pros and there are cons of this study and then work as well. So one of those is that you require more money, because you have to pay for the study fee for the university, and then you have to pay for the living costs as well. So your cost is like, it adds up. And then the next one is that there's little to no income during studying, which is like if you're not from the family that has like kind of a good saving, then sometimes you might find struggling. But yeah, but the good news is you can still do like part-time job, which I will be talking about that later. And let's talk about the only work part. So if someone want to like only work instead of study, then one of the pros basically there's less money required because you don't have to pay for the study fee. And you get the steady income right from the start. So for example, if you are like student, then you might be working part-time, you might get like just one amount of money. But if you work full-time, then you get a lot more money because you can work for more hours. But yeah, well, the work pathway is not like, it's not all not everything is good. So there are some downside to it. So it requires you to have an offer from the companies with the sponsorship visa. So that means like only the big companies can actually sponsor people with the with the working visa, and most of the time like startups or smaller company doesn't have that power. And you still require an okay English if you want to get into those company, because at least you have to be able to like talk to them in English and then communicate with them on how's the work progress and yeah, what do you want to do next, that kind of thing. And yeah, and because I think most of the time, like most of the companies that I found are using like agile methodology. So that means you have to talk a lot to them, for example, like to update every day on how the work is progressing. So good English, like okay English doesn't have to be good, just like the understandable English is necessary. All right, then let's chat again. Like after you hear about two different pathways, then what pathway that do you want to take? Do you want to study then work, or do you want to like just go to only work? And maybe why? Just tell me why as well. Please put it in the chat, and then yeah, let's discuss about that. Right. So you have two choices. You have study then work, or you have like work only, like no study at all. Which one do you want to choose? It's okay. I just keep waiting. Yeah. Do you want to go abroad like for study and then you go to work? So study, for example, like master degree, or it can be just the diploma degree, and then you can start working right away after that. Okay, so we have someone say study then work. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so I think that's one of the very valid choice, because then, as I said before, the pros of it is that you don't have to worry about like getting the visa afterward, because if you want to go to only work, then it will be very, very difficult for you to get that like working visa, unless you get into like very good company, for example, like Microsoft or Google or someone that can sponsor your visa. But then, yeah, you might find might be a lot easier if you study first and then you get that working visa from government, and then you can just start working. Yeah, for example, in Australia, I'll just tell you the story. So in Australia, then after you study 2 years of master degree, then you get 2 more years of working visa, so you can work anywhere, or you can just don't work. That's okay as well. And then after that, you can just ask the company to sponsor your working visa, because they already know you that you can make a lot of things happen. So then they definitely like they are more likely to sponsor you. Okay, so we have like few of the replies already. Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, okay. So study in work because it's gonna help you to start the work there or someplace you want. Yes, definitely. Yeah, and that's the pros of like study and work. But I mean, I totally understand people who prefer to work only, because sometimes you graduate and you already graduated and you're already working, and then you feel like you don't want to lose that kind of stream of income, and then you want to just work only, and that's totally fine as well. And yeah, if you prefer like study to work pathway, then let's talk about that a bit more. On the 3 things you need to study abroad. And this one is a reference from PKM at Taiwan Club. So because I work with him quite a lot in the recent year, and then so we just talk about these different things on how did he help people to go to work abroad. So the first thing is the language. So as we already knew about the language test like IELTS, TOEFL, or PTE. So I'm pretty sure everyone know about IELTS or TOEFL, which is one of the like well-known English tests. PTE, the last one, is not that well-known, but it's very popular to get like to take this exam and then get permanent resident in Australia. So that's why there's all people in Australia trying to get that exam. It's very similar to IELTS or TOEFL, except that it's just different kind of questions. And I will tell you more about like permanent resident visa very soon on what is it about. The next one is like the knowledge on culture and visa. So, well, at least you have to know like what's the different types of visa that you can get when you are in Australia. So, for example, as I mentioned before, there's the one called PR or permanent resident, or there are citizenship visa. And the difference between that is that in Australia, then permanent resident is the visa that allows you to do anything in Australia for 5 years, and you can extend it indefinitely. But the only bad point is that you don't get the passport. And whereas if you are a citizenship visa, then you get the passport and you get all that perks from the permanent resident. But then you don't need to extend it every 5 years as well. But yeah, I mean, for some of my friends, for example, who is from China, then there's a law that they can only hold like one passport at a time. And they don't want to lose Chinese passport, so they don't want to get citizenship. They just want to get PR. And the last one is about like the money that we already talked a bit about. So as I told you about, there are the study cost, and then there is another cost, which is the living cost. And for example, let me give you the example for the cost in Australia. So in some country in Asia, it might be cheaper. Like my sister, she was studying in master degree in Japan, and then her cost is like maybe half or one third of my cost in Australia. And if you go to USA, like very high ranking university, for example, MIT, that kind of like the Harvard, for example, then you have to pay more for the study fee. And well, let me talk about the Australia. So Australia is kind of in the middle. So for the study cost, it's like the money you pay for the study fee to the university or diploma school. So I think diploma school you can get around like 500,000 baht, and that should be okay. And then for university, you have to pay around like 1.5 to 2 million baht for 2 years of master. Sorry, if anyone speaking at the moment, could you please mute your microphone? Just a moment. Ajahn Daurat, can we mute that? I'm not sure who is having that voice from at the moment. Oh. Sorry, Mr. Park Poom, could you please mute your mic a bit? That would be awesome. Could you please mute your mic? I think that might be from, yeah. Sorry. Thank you. Awesome. Okay. So yeah, so as I just go back to what I was saying before. So for the study cost, in Australia, usually pay around like 1.5 million baht for 2 years of master. And the living cost for like mainly home and food is usually around maybe 700,000 or around 1 million for 2 years. But don't let that cost like scare you, because it's like a lot, it might seem like a lot of money for many people. So I will give you 2 tips. The first one is like study costs. That sounds very scary when you think about it. Like I don't have that large amount of money to pay like 2 million or 1.5 million. But the good news is you don't have to pay for everything upfront. You just have to pay for the first semester, and then you just have that money in the account for the second semester. So for example, you just need to have like maybe 700K or like 1 million in total to get started. You don't need to have the whole money. So you can just like buy, like you can just work, or you just like get that money afterward. And the second tip is that you can also get the financial help. So from scholarship or from loan or from like working during study as well. So in Australia, you can work legally for 20 hours during the semester per week. So if you get like, for example, you get around maybe $20 per hour, then you can get $400 per week easy. Yeah, and or I think some people might make more. I used to know someone who just like work kind of 2 shifts a day. So one shift, let's say you get like $80, then 2 shifts you get maybe $160 a day. So that is like about 3,000 baht per day, which is a lot. And another thing is like, another good thing about Australia is that you can work unlimited hours during the break as well. So if you are in summer break or winter break and you decided to work full time, then you can do that. Or I knew a friend who worked like 6 days a week during the break as well. So that's also one of the choices that you can do. But if you prefer to only work, then that's fine. There are many benefits, such as like you don't have to spend 1 or more year to study and then start getting money. And there are multiple options. Let me show you. So the first one is we call work and holiday visa. So this one is very specific to Australia, and it's the quota that given to Thai people every year. So you have to go register and you have to get that visa. So if you just want to study, you just search for WAH, like WA visa, and then you get more information on it. And you can stay in Australia to do anything for 1 year with this visa. So people usually get this visa to come to work. And with this visa, you don't have that like 20 hours per week limitation, like the same as student. You can just work a limited hour at any time. The next option I will be talking about is to apply for the job. So one of the way you can do it, one of the way if you want to just only work in abroad, then what you can do is you can just find a job. And there are multiple ways that you can get a job. So the first one is to get into like job boards. So I put the website link in here, like Indeed or Seek or LinkedIn. And if you don't have the LinkedIn account yet, then I would definitely recommend you to open one, because the recruiter usually find candidates from this website. And yeah, and if you have that one now, then feel free to go back and then update your profile, because then that will be helping the recruiter to find you a lot easier. Like just put them on what are you interested about and what project you might be working on. And another source that you can find a job is through networking. So I found that in Western countries, then you get a lot more job when you do networking. For networking, you don't have to be like talking to everyone at any time. You just like go to the thing called meetup event. So meetup is like the event where people who are interested in the same topic will come together. So for example, there are like web developer meetups, there are data science meetup, or there are like board game meetup. So it doesn't have to be something serious all the time. And it's very good if you come abroad first, and then as a student or working holiday visa, and then join those meetings in person, because you will get to meet the people in real life. And yeah, so from my experience, I have landed an interview from meetup events before. So it's like one of the most powerful way that you can get the job when you are in like Western countries. And the last one is internship. So if like work holiday visa doesn't work for you, apply for a job doesn't work for you, then you can always try the internship. So to be honest, I haven't seen many of the internships in Australia that fly you from Thailand to Australia and work yet. But I have seen some in the US where you can apply for the job, and then with the internship agency in Thailand, and then they will just fly you to US, and then you can start working there. The thing about internship is that normally it has a bit lower pay than the like full-time job, but you get a chance to go abroad and experience like new cultures, and maybe you will find a better company to work as well. So this could be a good option for some people as well. So definitely check that out. Yeah, think about internship. So here are the different options that you can do if you want to work abroad. So when holiday visa, or apply for the job, or doing the internship. All right. Then if you have any questions, then feel free. I think I already showed this slide like 4 times already. But yeah, just go to this website and then just put the question in there, and then we will be talking about it at the end. All right, then we are at the last topic now before we go into Q&A, which I'm not sure how many questions we have now. I haven't checked. Yeah, and so the last one is like the highlight of this talk. So because I've been talking to my friends who work in different countries like US or Japan or Europe, and then ask them about what's the pros and cons of living there or working there. And then they give me some list, and then I have consolidated that into this slide. So let's see. So this one we'll be talking about like which country do you want to go, on like what's the pros and cons of different countries. And yeah, before we go there, then let's chat. Please just type in where do you want to, like if you can choose one country to work, then where do you want to work? Let me know in the chat. Okay. Ajahn said in European. Okay. So someone said in Canada, Australia. Okay. All the Western countries. Is anyone want to work in like, oh, okay. So we have Asian countries now. We have Japan. Awesome. Yeah, I think Japan is a good candidate as well. London. Okay. In UK. Awesome. Norway, USA. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think there's a lot of like good countries that everyone want to go. I think Norway is a good one as well, and like not many people talk about it. So I have a friend who used to come from Norway, and then like and then even though he already went back to his home country, but I can see from his Facebook that he's like happy all the time. So I think that would be one of the choices that if you want to have happy life, then go to Norway, definitely. All right, South Korea. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, so that's one of the like popular choice when you want to go to in Asia as well. So Japan or Korea, I think that's all good choice. Anyone else? Okay. Oh, another word from Japan. Okay. Yeah, I think Japan is a good country as well. And yeah, so Hong Kong. That's very interesting. Korea, okay. Oh, Scotland. I haven't heard much about people who work in Scotland. So I have a friend who work in Europe, but then like Germany or Italy or Sweden, but they're not like in every country yet. I need to find more friends, definitely. All right, then. Oh, Canada and Russia, that's good. Yeah, I think Russia is good one as well, except that it's a bit too cold. So if you like cold weather, then definitely go Russia. Yeah, but it can be like very, very, very cold. All right, then here's like the common countries from working abroad that I found, like just from my circle of friends. And this is based on the countries that I've seen Thai people just move there to work. So yeah, so like all the good countries that everyone lives in the chat is good. Let's just quickly talk about it. So in Asia, there are different choices. So like Japan, China, Vietnam, Malaysia, or Singapore. Or I think someone already mentioned Hong Kong in the chat. I think that's already very good choice as well. So you can choose to go to basically like Asia or non-Asia. So as in Asia, we already talked about like that list. And then the non-Asia one is like Europe or like Canada or UK, USA or Australia. It's also a good choice. Yeah, and different countries have like different kind of personalities. So for example, in Japan, well, I will tell you shortly what's the pros and cons of that, of working there, from learning from my sister. And in China, like China is growing like pretty fast. If you want to work in tech industry, then definitely China could be a good choice. So if you have heard about like the game called LOL, that's owned 100% by a Chinese company called Tencent. And like if you play TikTok, then that's owned by ByteDance, which is a company in China as well. Yeah, so it's not just about like, I guess many people usually thought that it's like USA companies when we just, for example, like Facebook or Google that we use every day. But like TikTok, it's becoming a lot more popular now. And then yeah, that's from China, not from USA. Okay, so that's, okay, so here are 6 countries that I could get the information from. So like people who work in Thailand, definitely like from a lot of my friends working in Thailand. And I have like my friend who used to work in Singapore. So I asked her about what's her opinion. I have my sister who worked in Japan. So I just asked her like what's the pros and cons of working in Japan. And yeah, and for myself, Australia is for like from my experience. And in Europe, I also have a friend who worked in Europe, and then I just asked her about like what's her experience. And the same in US. Well, let's go through each country one by one. Oh, and by the way, if you see that I say here like not for comparison, it's because the pros and cons that you see here are maybe from the people who compare that to the work in Thailand. So you cannot compare, like for example, if my sister in Japan said the tax is very high there in Japan, then it is actually a lot less than what I'm paying in Australia. So yeah, so when you say high tax, then that might not be high comparing to the other countries. Yeah, just keep in mind on that. And let's go. Let's talk about Thailand first, because we already know like these countries. So the pros of working in Thailand, the first one is definitely like communicate in Thai. Like it's easy. You have to learn other language, and you can also become like close to your family and friends. So you will not lose the same. You might not lose the same like circle of friends that you already have. Yeah. And the last one is like it's a friendly place to hang out with the colleague. So in Thailand, like the culture in Thailand is normally very friendly. So normally the people who you work with become your friend in real life. So you kind of like hang out with those people. But that doesn't mean like Thailand has all the pros. I think no country has all the pros. there are always some like other side of the coin. So the first thing is like the seniority. So my friend is telling me that it's a bit rude to talk back to your older colleague. And sometimes like the suggestions from junior colleague is like will get instantly thrown out because they don't really care about the junior, or they just don't really care about the opinion of the junior. And the next one is like the politics between teams. So this one happened because like my friend is also leading one of the team, but then he found that he cannot just tell other team to do the same thing. Like he cannot just tell people in other team. He has to tell the manager of other team first, then manager of other team tell that person, and then that person will do the work. So yeah, so that is like kind of the line of command that's a bit different. And the next one is like the people usually use line for work. I don't know why. So well, the good thing, well, but why did I put that into the con? Is because like if you know that line is good for like talking to your friends and family, but it might not be good for work. And the reason of that is not because like I hate line or anything, but it's because the messages in line is only stored in your phone. So if one day you lose your phone, then you might lose like everything, every chat history that you talk. And also the photos and files are removed from line servers after a few days. So for example, if you try sending the file to your friends, and maybe a week later you try to download that files again, and you will find that the files already expired, you cannot download anymore, and you will lose that file forever. So yeah, just be careful when you kind of like talk about work in line, because it might not be the best place to store everything important for work. And this one is like not my word, this one is from my friend. So he said it's like it has the not very good work-life balance. So one of the reasons is because we use like line for work as well. And then I'm not blaming like line or anything. I just blaming the people who use it. Like the manager can feel that they can contact you at any time, and they will do that because they can. And what they do is sometimes they message people at like 9 p.m. asking for something that they need straight away. Or sometimes they might receive the message on weekend, like on holiday as well. So yeah, that might not be a good like work-life balance for many people. All right, then let's talk about the other countries. So in Singapore, so Singapore is like very close to Thailand, then you can just fly there and then get into the very good company. So yeah, the pro is like the first thing is close to Thailand. So you can just jump on the flight, then for 3 hours and you arrive in Singapore. And then if you need anything, if you just need to come back home, then you can just like jump to the flight, then jump back to Thailand in 3 hours. So that's like, it's not that far. It's actually because I used to live in Bangkok, and my hometown is in Chonburi. So that like that distance usually already like 2 hours from Chonburi to Bangkok. But yeah, but if you think about Singapore and Thailand, it's like 3 hours flight. So that's not that much. And the next thing is like there are good position in the big companies. So if you are thinking about working in like Google or Facebook or like Shopee, which is a very popular company at the moment, they have the headquarters in Singapore. So you can work there. And they also have like very big sales office for Google and Facebook there as well. So yeah. And I think for the developer, I think there used to be the team in Facebook in Singapore as well, because I knew someone who like went there for work. And the next one is like high salary. So definitely, like as we discussed before, and in some countries like in Japan or Singapore, they have like higher wages than in Thailand. And one of the things that kind of surprised me the most is like it's lower tax. So in Singapore, you actually gain more money, but then you pay less tax. So I went into like Singaporean website just last night, and trying to see like what's their tax rate. And then it was like quite surprised for me because they just pay around like 15% for like very high salary. And another pro that my friend told me is that it's very beautiful and clean city. So if you know that if you just like if you speed on the road, then you get kind of caught or you get like heavy fine in Singapore. And well, there's pros and there's cons as well. So in Singapore, there are like expensive house, so you have to pay a bit more to get like good house, or you have to pay a lot of money to get just the small house. And another thing that my friend mentioned that she really likes because is that the English used there is Singaporean English. So Singaporean English is like the mix of Chinese and Chinese and English. So sometimes it's like they speak English and then they end the sentence with like in Singaporean. Yeah, in Chinese, not Singaporean. Yeah, so that's something that you have to be careful about when you go to work in English in Singapore, because you might not get to learn much English and you might not improve on your English like as you expected. All right, then let's talk about the third country, which is in Japan. So my sister is working in Japan for almost 4 years now, and she is working on the cosmetics company. So she gave me kind of the list of what are the pros and cons that she found there. So the pro is that, well, she said it's a high salary because the fresh graduates there start around 50,000 baht a month. And normally the company will sponsor your health and life insurance. So you only need to pay like around 30% of medical service fee. So so she said that you will never go broke when you see a doctor, which is very true in some countries. When you see a doctor, then you just have to pay a lot of money. And it's like highly organized and efficient at work. So Japanese usually have like KPI and fixed timing on everything, and which led to more efficient work. And this one is not only like for professional work, but it's also include like the restaurant. So I've been to one of the Japanese restaurant that owned by Japanese in Melbourne, and then my friend is the one who worked there, and then I asked my friend on how did they make the taste like so constant. And what he told me is that everything they do is like they keep the time and then the right temperature for everything. So even when they boil the egg, they have the timer like, oh, we'll boil the egg for 1 minute at this fixed temperature. So that's why it always tastes the same when it comes to you. And the next thing is like bonus. So if you work in the Japanese company, even when you work in Thailand, then you will find that many companies give you the bonus money. So not only you get the salary, but then you also get like kind of the bonus, for example, maybe 2 months of your salary for up to 2 times a year. But in terms of cons, then the first one that like scare many people is because you have to learn Japanese language. Because in Japan, then people usually don't speak English. So you might find it a bit difficult sometimes. And also, she mentioned it has the high tax. So because not only you have to pay for like the country tax, but you have to pay for like city tax and also like small tax here and there. So sometimes your salary might become taxed for like the 1/4 of the money. And the next one is the stressful workplace, because as I mentioned before, the Japanese workplace is very organized, very efficient. So sometimes it can be very stressful, like when you work together with people who actually like very punctual, always on time, and always very efficient in their work. And the next one is, I think that's probably something that people don't like. So which is the working of overtime. So if you work in a Japanese company, then expect you might work to like 10 hours, 12 hours easily. But well, the good thing is you got paid for overtime, but then it's still like kind of expect for you to do overtime. And also work during holidays. Like, so for example, when my family want to kind of get together in the new year, then my sister has a bit of issue that like, because if everyone taking holiday, then she cannot take the holiday, she has to be there to work. So yeah, so that's a bit difficult. And the next one is like every people there is very independent, so kind of you might get less interaction from the people from like Japanese colleagues. And the last one is like seniority. So normally if you are older, then you get promoted first, even though sometimes the junior might be like better at work than you. But yeah, but that's kind of just like the level of hierarchy in Japan. So that's Japan. And the next one is Australia. So you see a different side of the world, and then you see that it's so much different. So the pros of in working in Australia is that it's like focused and collaborative. So even though we are very relaxing, but when we work, we actually very focused, and we are very collaborative in terms of if someone's stuck, then other people will help. And the next one is like the family and health become like always come before work. So for example, if your kid has if your partner, for example, has a health issue or any issue, and then you have to leave work to help them, then your colleague will just say like, oh, just go, and because the work can always wait, but your like health or your family cannot wait. And the next one is about the diversity. So people here is like don't really care about it, like what gender are you, or what race are you, or what age are you. As long as you can work and efficient, and you can become efficient, then they will promote you. And especially in Australia, the discrimination law is very very serious. So you have to be careful if you just try to become discriminated to anyone. Yeah. And the next one is the good work-life balance. So for example, like I work like 9 to 5, and then after 5, then I have time to do exercise or doing anything I want. So it's like, because it's not just me, but it's everyone. Like my colleagues after 5, then they just go back to their family and then just take care of their kids. Right? Yeah. So they have that balance, and a lot of holidays as well. So like this one including the leave days as well. So I got around 20 leave days per year, and then I think around maybe 15 sick leave per year. So yeah, so it's separated. So you can, if you are sick, then you just take sick leave. You are like go for like vacation with your family, then you actually take the annual holidays. And yeah, and the last one is the high salary. So for the fresh grad, you get, well, because when we say about salary in Australia, then you talk about like the yearly salary, not monthly salary. So I'm not sure about how many, like how much per month they get, but for the fresh grad, then I calculated yesterday, and so they get around like 1.4 million baht per year. But in terms of con, so yeah, so not everything is like nice and looking good. So there's high tax in Australia. So you can get like deduct from 1/3 of your salary to maybe half of your salary. So that could be like, if you get very high salary, then that could be very serious. And also high cost of living, especially in the big city like Sydney or Melbourne. But yeah, but if you compare to like luxury lifestyle in Bangkok, sometimes like it's cheaper. So for example, like maybe last month, I watched a video talking about the apartment in Sukhumvit, which is about 15 million baht. So that's like very expensive, and with that money, you can probably buy the apartment in Sydney or Melbourne as well. And the next one is like independent. So very similar to Japan. So everyone has their own life. So if you just come to work, then you become the colleague, but then after work, then you just like go on your own way. So you don't just have to like hang out all the time. And it's also getting harder to get PR now, because there's a lot of people coming here in Australia to try to get the PR, which is like the visa that allow them to work or do anything indefinitely. So there's a bit more competition now. Okay, then the fifth country. So we have 6 countries. So this is the fifth one. So we were talking about the countries in Europe. So I put Europe because I knew a friend who actually like work in different countries, and then she just told me like the different experience. So I just group into Europe. So the pro is that it has good work-life balance. So very similar to Australia. Like I think all the Western countries are very similar. Like you kind of, people don't call you after your work time. And then the next one is like very similar to Australia as well. So there are a lot of sick leave and there are a lot of vacation days, and then they are separated. So you can take like depending on your need. and there's no age discrimination. So very similar again. Then even though you are very young, but if you can do work and then you can do better than people who like has older age than you, then that's totally fine. And one thing is that people are very punctual, so they are like always on time. If they say that they will come at 1 p.m., they will come at 1 p.m. And I guess that's like kind of something that very different from in Thailand. Like when you say you will come at 1 p.m., then you might come at 1:30, that kind of thing. So I guess that's very good. Yeah. And so for the in terms of cons, then the first one is like different cultures and different like, and they have different languages and different culture as well in each country in Europe. So for example, in Italy, so people usually like very laid back, and then they like to do small talk. So very similar to Australia. But when for example, in German, very close country, it's not that far. And then, but the people in German is usually like very blunt, very speak like very to the point, and then they don't waste time for the small talk. They just like call you and then they just tell you straight away on what they need. So that's a bit different depending on like what you prefer. And people there are also very independent. So my friend is in working in Europe at the moment, and then she said that she don't have any friends at the moment because everyone is like kind of just colleague, just come to work and then they just go home to their own like life. And the last one is the people are autonomous. So when they hire you, then they expect you to work right away. So it's a bit different from Thai company where there will be maybe some mentor who's like kind of guide you along the way in your first month or first 2 months. But yeah, but in Europe, then they cannot believe that if they hire you, then they expect you to be able to work right away. You don't need anyone to guide you. All right, then the last one. So this one is actually from my friend who work in Silicon Valley in US. So it is for anyone who don't know much about Silicon Valley yet. So Silicon Valley is like the region where many big tech companies are located in San Francisco. So such as like Facebook or Google or Apple, they have headquarters there. So the pros of working in US is the first one. She told me that because it's like free speech, like you can say about anything or can like review anyone. If it's bad, then that's like if it's true, then you can always speak. And there's like good weather in there as well and good environment. So if she just want to run at the park and then jump back to work, then that's doable. The next one is like high salary. So in Silicon Valley, I think the person I told you about that got like the Amazon work from the US. I think that's where he got like 1.5 million baht per month. And there's a good quality of life, like because you have the good environment and you have good weather, then so you can enjoy a bit more on the quality of life. And the next one is like, I think this one is only for Silicon Valley. So you get to work with like geniuses from around the world. And that kind of help you in terms of if they are good, then you have to become better as well as you work with them more. And one of the pros that like kind of a bit funny is that she said it's good to be far from family because probably because she has been living with family for a long time, then it's a good time to kind of get away. And there's no age discrimination, so very similar to other Western countries. Like they don't really care about your age, but they care about like the output that you produce. But yeah, but nothing like just on the pro side. So let's talk about the con side. So yeah, for some people, being far from the family can be a con. That's why I put in the pros and cons, and that's what she told me as well. Yeah, because like some people want to get close to their family, so that's a big con. And this one is very similar to like other Western countries. So you are independent. When you are in the Western countries, like no one actually like hang out with you after work. And the third one is like, I think this one is something that you should be doing if you haven't done. So it's like you have to speak up for what you want. So in US, that's kind of the culture that if you don't talk, if you don't say anything, then people will just expect that, oh, it's already good. You don't need anything else. So I guess that's kind of like the mindset that I think everyone should have. Like if you need anything, then just speak up first, and then we will see if they said no, then you will know like what happened. And then the last thing is the autonomous. So similar to in Europe, so they will expect you that you are the professional who can do the work without any guiding. So here are all the 6 countries that we compare. Guess we did good time as well. So yeah, where do you want to work? Thailand or Singapore or Japan or Australia or Europe or USA? You can put that in the chat. That would be awesome. Let's see. Still Europe. Okay. Thank you, Ajahn Titaya. Yeah. And I think Europe is a good place to go, just a bit too far. And I cannot fly out Australia now anyway. Okay, Europe, Australia, okay. Japan, I see. Yeah, it's good to see like different opinion. So yeah, I mean, that's no good or bad. It's just like which one is right for you. Okay, USA, Japan, Singapore, Europe, Scandinavia. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, I think many people want to go to Singapore. I think Singapore might be a good choice for people who just like start fighting working abroad as well, because there are a lot of positions in Singapore where they want like people from Thailand, and then because we are not too far from them, so we can just fly there and then just start working. So that could be one choice also. And if you worry about your families, then that's actually a very good choice, because if you have anything to come to like to go back to Thailand, you can just like jump on the flight and then fly for 3 hours, and then you will see your family. Okay, that's all Singapore and Japan. See Australia as well. All right, then I guess let's jump into the Q&A time, since we have like 25 minutes left. So let me just pull the screen. So you can go to slide.do and then room PSU first. Let me pull that real quick. One moment. Yeah, feel free if you still have something, then you can, if you still have any question, then you can still put that in the chat, and then we will see it right away. Oh, and if you want to get in touch with me, then feel free to use like different way here. So I have inbox, like Facebook page. So this page, or you can send me a message on LinkedIn on Perth Waratana Ngamtakunchon, or you can just email me on waratana@gmail.com. Okay, let me pull that. So yeah, slide view, then just type this room, or you can go to slideview.com, or you can just go to sli.do. Do you have any question yet? Feel free to type in so we can go through them.
Any question ใครมีคำถามบ้างคะถามได้นะ
Okay, yeah, no, and you can type in Thai as well, so I can read Thai, so that's totally fine. Yeah, and yeah, and let's chat, because normally I don't talk so much about like visa stuff. So yeah, feel free to like put in your question so that we can talk about like how to work abroad or the process, that kind of thing. All right, then we have the first question here. So about the process to make visa. So for Australia, then sorry. Okay. Yeah, for just the process for the visa. So I can talk about like Australia or maybe US. So in Australia, then you normally just go to like if you come from the study and work path, then you just talk to like migration agency or study agency, and then they will just organize all the papers for the visa for you. You just have to go to the office and then just like sign something, and then that's enough to make the visa. And I guess that's probably true for the US citizen, like the US visa as well. So you just have to, well, it's a bit more difficult because for the US visa, then you have to actually go to the embassy of US, and then you have to like prepare your own paper and then like do everything by yourself. But yeah, but in Australia it's a bit easier, but then it can take some time because many people want to go to Australia at the moment. And then you just click there. Right, if there's any other question, then feel free to put that in the slide view so we can answer at the same time.
Maybe I ask from the experiences that in terms of sending out the student for the internship. Previously we had the problem of getting with the visa as well in many countries. So I mean, in your company or your friend company, do they still accept the internship? And what are the process, in order to help the Thai student to join the internship abroad?
Yeah, in Australia, I don't see much of an internship that accept people who work abroad. But yeah, but if you come to Australia first, then you can definitely apply for like grad program in the company. So if you just recently graduated, you can apply for that program. And then if you get in, then you get kind of the study as well. So you get like free courses and free certificate. So I guess, yeah. So if you want to come like start doing the data science stuff, then definitely welcome to join.
Okay, right. Because previously we have the case for the Japan and then Singapore for students not able to get a visa because of the difficulty in order to get the confirmation from the company, because they need to have the letter and then supporting of the fees, the visa fee, to helping on the student. So this is not that easy for the Thai student to join the internship abroad recently. Yeah, so this is what we found.
Is it because of like COVID situation as well?
The experiences we having, it's been 5 years already about this kind of problem. I think because some of the internship they go there and then somehow they do via the let's say the agent, and it's kind of like not totally right in the way to be in the internship, so that's why it's difficult for the later generation in order to get the visa for the internship for Thai citizens.
I see. So it's probably better if the company support it, isn't it? So you can get one company, then I guess the question is how to find that company. And
but right now we do supporting for the the university allow for the virtual internship. So student being in Thailand, but they do the work for the company abroad.
I think that's very good, because then student can practice their English, their language as well.
เด็กเข้าใจใช่ไหมคะเมื่อกี้ที่อาจารย์พยายามสื่อสารกับพี่เพิร์ทคุณเพิร์ทเรื่องของการทำ internship นะคะต่างประเทศเผื่อใครสนใจนะคะพอดีว่าทางมหาวิทยาลัยเนี่ยเรา support เรื่องของ virtual internship อยู่แล้วนะคือถ้าใครได้ position ในการที่ไปติดต่อต่างประเทศแล้วก็ทำงานตัวอยู่ไทยแต่ว่าได้โอกาสในการที่จะไปทำงานที่ต่างประเทศเนี่ยคิดว่าเป็นโอกาสที่ดีนะคะ
จริงๆดีมากเลย
ถ้าเราติดต่อได้นะ ก็จริงๆอยากจะให้เอาโอกาสนี้ถามพี่เพิร์ดนะคะคุณเพิร์ดว่าเนี่ยมีโพสิชันงานประมาณไหนบ้าง อะไรเงี้ยเพราะจริงๆตอนวันนี้ค่ะมาจากหลายคณะนะคะ
ครับ
หลายคณะเลยซึ่งจริงๆอาจารย์อยากจะให้เราเนี่ยใช้ช่องทางนี้ในการถามนะคะสอบถามแล้วก็ดูความเป็นไปได้ในสำหรับตัวเราเองเนาะแล้วก็อนาคตสมมุติเราจบไปอย่างเงี้ยค่ะเราอยากจะไปเรียนต่อหรือว่าไปทำงานในต่างประเทศอย่างเงี้ยเราจะต้องเต็มพร้อมยังไงบ้าง
ถามมันได้เลยครับในสไลด์ดูมันไม่ต้องใส่ชื่อเนาะสไลด์ดูไม่ต้องใส่ชื่อก็เพราะงั้นก็พิมพ์มาได้เลยครับผมเมื่อกี้มีคนพูดอยู่หรือเปล่า
Okay, in the marketing, if I will get work in different national, in different national. Okay, if learn in marketing, if I have work in different channel.
different
country.
So you are studying in marketing and then you want to see like how can you work in other countries, is it?
Yes.
Okay. So in marketing it's a bit like because you have to speak quite a bit because you have to communicate with like your team and also your like boss. So you have to. So I would suggest to practice on like the English part, and then in terms of the marketing, like the techniques and stuff, then definitely like prepare for the technique that's like not tied to Thai market. For example, like maybe you can talk about the digital market. Like you can start learning about digital marketing technique like email marketing or like social media marketing, and then that would be good for you to go to work abroad. Yeah, so basically just think about
thank you.
what skill. Yeah, awesome. ถามได้นะครับภาษาไทยก็ได้เพราะว่า
เด็กๆถามภาษาไทยได้นะคะ
ได้นะครับพูดไทยได้ฟังออกครับผม เดี๋ยวนี้ว่าฟังไม่ออก
อย่างคุณเพิร์ทตอนนี้แพลนจะทำงานไปที่ออสเตรเลียอีกนานไหมคะหรือว่าจะเปลี่ยนประเทศตอนนี้ที่แพลนไว้
ตอนนี้ก็น่าจะอยู่ที่ออสเตรเลียสักพักหนึ่งเลยครับผม
ค่ะ
มันก็ค่อนข้างโอเคแล้วเซตเทิลดาวน์และอะไรอย่างนี้ก็สบายดีครับผม
อยู่ในซิดนีย์อะคะ
อยู่ที่เมลเบิร์นครับ
เมลเบิร์น
ใช่แล้วมันก็แบบเมืองมันก็โอเคมันแค่หนาวไปหน่อยบางทีถ้าซิดนีย์มันน่าจะอุ่นกว่านิดนึงแต่มันแบบคนเยอะครับชอบคนน้อยๆชิวๆมากกว่าอะไรอย่างนี้
โอเคแล้วบริษัททางด้านนี้ที่เมลเบิร์นเยอะไหมคะ
ก็ถ้าเกิดด้าน Data ที่เมลเบิร์นจะเป็นแบบด้าน Engineer ค่อนข้างเยอะครับผมคือแบบสร้างแพลตฟอร์มอะไรพวกนี้ถ้าเกิดแบบชอบด้าน Data Scientist แบบสร้างโมเดลแบบวิเคราะห์อะไรพวกนี้ครับซิดนีย์จะมีงานเยอะกว่าครับผมเพราะงั้นก็ลองดูเพราะซิดนีย์คือคนเขาเยอะกว่าแล้วก็แบบบริษัทเยอะกว่าอะไรเงี้ยครับแต่ข้อเสียก็คือพอคนเยอะมันก็แบบพลุกพล่านด้วยเนาะคือแบบไปเที่ยวซิดนีย์มาคือแบบแทบจะเดินชนกันขณะช่วงโควิดคือคนแบบไม่ใส่หน้ากากเลยอะไรเงี้ยน่ากลัวมากตอนนี้ก็มีคนติดแบบเป็น100 คนแล้วที่ซิดนีย์เขาแบบต้องระวังเขาใช้ชีวิตเต็มที่จริงๆแบบนั้นยอม
เด็กๆถามได้นะไม่ต้องอะไรนะคะ
มีคำถามมา1 อันครับ Do you know some about data about scientists คือแบบนักวิทยาศาสตร์อะไรอย่างนี้เนาะ
โอเคครับอันนี้ผมขอถามอาจารย์นะครับคือตอนนี้เนี่ยมีเพื่อนบางคนเนี่ยไปเช็คตอนนี้ชั่วโมงภาษาอังกฤษคราวที่แล้วยังไม่เข้าเลยไม่ทราบว่าต้องใช้เวลาประมาณกี่วันครับถึงจะเข้า
ชั่วโมงภาษาอังกฤษ
ถึงรอบที่แล้วใช่ไหมคะ
ใช่
ครับพี่กำลังจัดทำใบเซอร์ติฟิเคตนะแล้วก็บางคณะก็คือให้พี่ส่งรายชื่อไปให้ทางเจ้าหน้าที่แต่ว่าพี่กำลังรวบรวมอยู่เพราะว่ามีเด็กหลายคณะพี่ต้องจำแนกเด็กให้ก่อนเดี๋ยวถ้ามีอะไรน้องถามพี่หลังจากอบรมนี้ได้
ครับก็คือน่าจะประมาณ1 เดือน
น่าจะน้อยกว่านั้นนะพี่ว่ากำลังทำให้อยู่ที่แล้วแต่ว่ายังไม่น่าจะนานขนาดนั้นใช่
โอเคครับโอเคครับขอบคุณครับ
โอเคเดี๋ยวผมขออนุญาต ตอบคำถามก่อนเนาะที่มีเพื่อนๆถามมาแล้ว2ข้อถ้ามีคำถามเพิ่มเติมก็พิมพ์เข้ามาได้นะครับผมโอเค you know some about scientists น่าจะเป็นอารมณ์ว่าแบบเหมือนเรียนวิทยาศาสตร์อยู่เนาะครับแล้วก็เดี๋ยวผมพูดไทยได้ไหมเนาะพูดไทยแล้วกันเผื่อแบบมีจะแบบเข้าใจกันง่ายๆนะครับโอเคก็นี่ถามเกี่ยวกับเรื่องว่าเกี่ยวกับเรื่องของ scientist ใช่ไหมครับถ้าเกิดเป็น scientist ต้องลองดูว่าเป็นฟิลไหนครับผมเพราะว่าเช่นแบบ medical ต้องดูประเทศเราไปก่อนเนาะแบบประเทศนั้นเนี่ยมีบริษัทที่มีเกี่ยวกับฟิลนี้ไหมเช่นถ้าเกิดสมมติจะมาเมลเบิร์นแล้วก็แบบหาเรื่องของ medical จะแบบมีน้อยแต่ถ้าเกิดสมมติไปอเมริกาอะไรพวกนี้เขาจะมีเกี่ยวกับเรื่องของ scientist มากกว่านะครับผมอันนี้อาจจะรบกวนลองดูว่าสนใจ scientist ในแขนงไหนแล้วก็ลองดูว่าบริษัทที่แบบสนใจที่เขาแบบรับด้านนี้อยู่เนี่ยครับผมเป็นบริษัทในประเทศไหนนะครับไม่นำใหม่แล้วกันถ้าเกิดมีอะไรเพิ่มเติมก็ถามมาได้นะครับโอเคอันนี้ advice for IT student ก็นี่ถ้าเกิดเรียน IT อยู่เนาะนะครับผมก็จริงๆเรื่องของการย้ายประเทศจะค่อนข้างแบบไม่ลำบากมากเพราะว่าอย่างที่บอกว่าสกิลใน Tech Industry เนี่ยเป็นสกิลที่สามารถแบบ transferable ได้คือสมมติเราเรียนโปรแกรมมิ่งอยู่แล้วเราอยากไปย้ายประเทศไปทำโปรแกรมมิ่งอีกประเทศหนึ่งเนี่ยก็สามารถทำได้โดยที่แบบใช้สกิลเดิมได้เลยไม่ต้องมาเรียนใหม่นะครับผมงั้นก็ IT student คือแบบถือว่าเป็นสายที่ดีมากๆเลยครับผมในการที่จะย้ายประเทศนะครับก็แล้วก็แบบไม่ว่าจะเป็นแบบพวกแม้แต่แบบยุโรปหรือว่าแบบญี่ปุ่นหรือสิงคโปร์หรืออะไรเงี้ยคือประเทศไหนก็ได้ก็คือเขาสนใจแบบ IT student ทั้งหมดเลยนะครับผมก็เป็นโอกาสที่ดีนะครับก็อาจจะลองดูครับผมว่ามีเป็นสนใจทางไหนบ้างนะครับโอเคครับแล้วก็ต่อมาก็คือด้านวิทยาศาสตร์สาขาเคมีในต่างประเทศอาจารย์พอจะมีประเทศไหนแนะนำบ้างครับถ้าเกิดเป็นสาขาเคมีในต่างประเทศพอดีผมไม่ค่อยทราบเลยนะครับผมว่ามีที่ไหนบ้างคือถ้าเกิดดูจากที่แบบใกล้ๆตัวเนี่ยก็คือออสเตรเลียเนี่ยผมก็ไม่ค่อยได้ยินเรื่องของเคมีมากเท่าไหร่นะแต่ว่าคิดว่าน่าจะเป็นเพราะเมืองใหญ่ๆอย่างเช่นแบบเมลเบิร์นหรือซิดนีย์เนี่ยเขาไม่ได้ทำเรื่องเคมีเยอะแต่ว่าถ้าเกิดไปเมืองที่มันแบบอาจจะแบบเมืองที่อยู่ไกลออกไปหน่อยก็อาจจะมีเช่นแบบบริสเบนหรืออะไรต่างๆนะครับผมอันนี้ต้องลองไปดูว่ามีบริษัทใหญ่ๆที่ไหนบ้างที่ตั้งอยู่ในแบบในเขตไหนบ้างอะไรเงี้ยครับผมเพราะว่าถ้าเกิดเคมีคือผมไม่ได้แบบรีเสิร์ชเยอะเลยไม่ได้ทราบเหมือนกันโอเคครับคำถามต่อมาก็คืออยากถามว่าในความคิดพี่คิดยังไงกับโครงการ Work and Holiday คะครับก็Work and Travel โอเค Work and Travel ก็คือน่าจะประมาณแบบเหมือนปี3แล้วก็ไปแบบลงในโครงการนี้ประมาณนี้หรือเปล่าครับถ้าเป็น Work and Travel ก็คือถ้า Work and Travel เนี่ยก็คือเป็นโครงการที่ดีนะก็คือเพราะว่าอย่างน้อยถ้าเกิดเราไม่เคยไปลองอาศัยอยู่ในต่างประเทศเนี่ยก็ควรจะไปมากเลยครับเพราะว่าเราจะได้แบบไปลองดูว่าเขาเจอต่างประเทศเป็นยังไงแล้วก็แบบเหมาะกับเราไหมนะครับผมเพราะว่าแบบมันไม่ได้แปลว่าต่างประเทศคือมันดีทั้งหมดทุกอย่างแบบมันดีกับเราทั้งหมดทุกอย่างเราชอบทั้งหมดทุกอย่างนี่เป็นไปไม่ได้ต้องมีส่วนที่แบบเราชอบบ้างเราไม่ชอบบ้างเพราะงั้นเนี่ยก็คือลองไปดูก่อนแล้วก็ลองไปลองหาประสบการณ์ดูครับผมก็จริงๆแนะนำถ้าเกิดไปได้ก็แนะนำให้ไปเลยครับผมเพราะว่าจะได้ไปลองดูOkay, do foreign countries give importance to scientists? อันนี้คือผมคิดว่าคุณค่าอยู่ที่แบบอาจจะอยู่ที่บริษัทมากกว่าครับผมไม่น่าอยู่ที่ประเทศครับผมเพราะว่าถ้าเกิดสมมติเราถามว่าอเมริกาให้คุณค่ากับคนที่เป็นนักวิทยาศาสตร์ไหมเนี่ยเพราะอาจจะตอบไม่ได้แล้วแต่รัฐอะไรอย่างเงี้ยใช่ไหมครับเพราะงั้นถ้าเกิดเรามองไปเรื่อยๆว่าถ้าเกิดเราไปทำงานบริษัทที่เขาใช้นักวิทยาศาสตร์เป็นหลักในการแบบทำกำไรเนี่ยเขาต้องแบบสนใจว่าอยากได้นักวิทยาศาสตร์เข้าไปเพื่อช่วยบริษัทใช่ไหมแต่ถ้าสมมติบอกว่าผมเปิดบริษัทเป็นรับเขียนโปรแกรมรับทำเว็บไซต์ทำ IT อะไรพวกเนี้ยผมก็อาจจะไม่มีตำแหน่งให้แบบคนที่เป็น scientist เข้าไปทำงานครับผมเพราะงั้นเนี่ยคิดว่าน่าจะเกี่ยวกับตัวบริษัทมากกว่าเกี่ยวกับตัวประเทศครับผมโอเคแต่ว่าก็อย่ายอมแพ้นะครับของน้องที่ถ้าเกิดหางานด้าน scientist ในต่างประเทศอยู่เนี่ยก็ลองไปแบบลองยื่นไปหลายที่ดูแล้วก็แบบลองหาดูนะครับผมเพราะว่ามันก็ไม่ใช่ว่าแบบเรายื่นไปที่เดียวจะได้เลยมันก็ต้องแบบบางทีต้องอาศัยแบบใช้เวลานะครับงานแรกที่ผมได้ก็คือผมก็แบบยื่นไปแบบเป็น100ที่เหมือนกันก็จะได้แบบได้ออฟเฟอร์มาได้ออฟเฟอร์2ที่นะครับแต่ว่าแบบก็ยื่นไปแบบนานมากแล้วแบบหลายเดือนมากกว่าจะได้ที่นึงมานะครับผมเพราะงั้นเนี่ยแล้วหลายคนก็คือแบบเพื่อนผมเนี่ยบางคนแบบอาจจะหางานแบบเป็นปีแล้วก็มีคือแบบยื่นไปแบบเป็นหลายร้อยที่แล้วแต่ว่ายังไม่ได้เลยก็มีเพราะงั้นก็ต้องแบบใช้ความอดทนใช้ความพยายามนะครับผมเพราะอย่างที่บอกว่า มันไม่ใช่ว่ายื่นไปแล้วที่แรกจะได้เลยแต่ว่าบางทีอาจจะต้องแบบที่ต่อไปอาจจะได้แต่ว่าถ้าเกิดเราไม่พยายามเนี่ยเราก็แบบไม่ได้ลองทำที่ต่อไปใช่ไหมนะครับผม
อาจารย์ถามค่ะคือจากประสบการณ์เนี่ยเราเคยส่งนักศึกษาเนี่ยไปสาหกิจไปฝึกงานอะไรเงี้ยค่ะรวมถึงเรื่องของการทำงานด้วยนะคะซึ่งอาจารย์เนี่ยได้แชร์ประสบการณ์กับนักศึกษาที่เขาอยากจะไปต่างประเทศมาคราวนี้ถามคุณเพิร์ดนิดนึงเพราะว่าเนี่ยนักศึกษาจะมีความยากเพราะบางประเทศอย่างเช่นอเมริกาอย่างเงี้ยค่ะเขาก่อนที่เขาจะรับชาวต่างชาติเนี่ยคือเขาต้องมั่นใจก่อนว่าไอ้ตำแหน่งตรงนี้ค่ะหมายความว่าคนในประเทศเขาเนี่ยต้องไม่มีคือหายากมากอะไรอย่างเงี้ยค่ะเขาถึงจะรับได้ในกรณีนี้เป็นแบบเดียวกันในออสเตรเลียไหมคะ
ใช่ถ้าเกิดเขาจะสปอนเซอร์วีซ่าเพื่อให้เราไปครับผมก็คือจะเป็นเคสนี้หมดเลยครับผมแต่ว่าส่วนใหญ่ก็คือถ้าเกิดที่เห็นแบบคนไทยที่แบบได้สปอนเซอร์ชิพจากบริษัทต่างประเทศออสเตรเลียอะไรเงี้ยส่วนใหญ่จะทำงานแบบจะเป็นแบบทำงานในบริษัทที่ค่อนข้างใหญ่ด้วยครับผมเช่นถ้าเกิดของไทยจะทำงาน Agoda หรือว่า Microsoft เลยครับแล้วก็ได้สปอนเซอร์มาทำงานที่ออสเตรเลียต่อครับผมเพราะเขาก็คือดูหลายที่ก็คือแล้วก็มีเพื่อนอีกคนนึงที่ทำงานที่สิงคโปร์ก็คือเมื่อก่อนเขาทำที่ Line Thailand แล้วก็ Google สิงคโปร์ก็แบบเหมือนอารมณ์ซื้อตัวไปทำงานอะไรเงี้ยเพราะงั้นก็แนะนำว่าพยายามหาโปรไฟล์สร้างโปรไฟล์ตัวเองครับผมแบบหาบริษัทที่แบบที่เขาที่ดีเพื่อเราจะได้แบบสร้างโปรไฟล์ไปต่อไปเรื่อยๆครับผม
เด็กๆถามได้นะคะ
ได้ครับมาถามได้เลยไหนๆก็เนี่ยมามีเวลามาคุยกันแล้วครับผมมาลุยเลย
Excuse me.
Hi.
It's kind of weird question, but I want to ask you that have you ever fight with your parents? It's like when you want to go to the other countries, is they mad? Because I know it's gonna happen. It will definitely happen in my life. So what do you do if they mad like that?
Yeah, I guess that that's a very good question. Yeah, and I've seen that happen many times. So like in my situation, it's a bit better because my sister already went to Japan. So I just like, I just go to other country because I want to try like similar to my sister. And yeah, but I mean, if your parents are against the idea of you going abroad, then you just you just have to provide them kind of so the reason that the parents usually don't like you to go abroad is because sometimes they care about you. So you have to show them that you are capable of living by yourself and you can take care of yourself instead of having to rely on them. So for example, like if you can you can work part-time, then get money. And so you can like take care of yourself in that financial part. Or if you can like, for example, if you can drive a car, then you can show them that, you can actually like take care of yourself when you want to go somewhere. So yeah, you have to start building that trust. Otherwise, then they might not, they might feel like you are still like always like too weak to go to abroad, like far away from them. Okay, is that? So we have the question in the chat here as well. All right. So the question is like, พูดไทยแล้วกันครับเพื่อน่าจะง่ายกว่าเพื่อน้องที่ฟังด้วยครับผมเพราะเห็นเขาถามภาษาไทยมาเขาบอกว่าใช้ทุนเยอะไหมคะตอนไปแล้วก็ทำหน้าร้องไห้มานะครับผมก็อย่างที่บอกว่าจริงๆมันมีหลายพาธเวย์ครับผมถ้าเกิดมาเรียนต่อครับผมมันใช้ทุนเยอะพอสมควรเลยเพราะว่าต้องจ่ายค่าเรียนด้วยแต่ว่าถ้าเกิดเราสามารถหางานได้แล้วก็มาทำงานต่อครับมันจะใช้ทุนได้น้อยกว่าเพราะว่าเราจะจ่ายแค่ค่าแบบ living cost หรือบางทีบริษัทจะแบบช่วยเหลือเราในการจ่ายค่าบ้านในการ relocate ก็ได้ครับผมมันก็จะช่วยได้เยอะเลยตรงนี้ครับผมงั้นเดี๋ยวผมแชร์สไลด์ต่อยังไงดีนะครับอาจารย์เดี๋ยวผมส่ง PDF ให้อาจารย์แล้วเดี๋ยวให้คุณยาก็ได้แล้วเดี๋ยวไปได้เดี๋ยวส่งให้น้องๆได้ครับผมใช่เพราะในนั้นเนี่ยผมจะมีบอกอยู่ว่าแบบมีพาธเวย์ไหนบ้างแล้วก็สามารถหางานที่ไหนบ้างครับผมมันจะช่วยได้เนาะนะครับก็ลองเอาไปดูแล้วก็ลองดูว่าแบบตัวเองแบบเหมือนเหมาะกับพาธเวย์ไหนมากกว่ากันนะครับผมเพราะว่าอย่างที่บอกว่าแบบชีวิตแต่ละคนเนี่ยก็เรามีความต้องการมีแบบมีเงื่อนไขแตกต่างกันเนาะเพราะงั้นเราก็ต้องลองดูว่าอันไหนที่มันเหมาะกับเรานะครับผมอย่างผมก็โชคดีหน่อยตรงที่ได้ครับ
จะถามหน่อยค่ะพอดีว่าถามอาจารย์เรียนที่อังกฤษมาก่อนนะคะแล้วก็ทีนี้มันจะมีทุนที่เรียนต่อให้กับนักศึกษาชาวต่างชาติเนี้ยค่ะแต่อย่างประเทศอังกฤษเนี่ยค่อนข้างจะยากนิดนึงเพราะว่ามีการแข่งขันสูงอาจจะถามคุณเพิร์ทในกรณีของมหาวิทยาลัยในออสเตรเลียค่ะว่ายากขนาดไหนหรือว่ามันมีทุนแบบไหนบ้างอะไรเงี้ยค่ะ
ครับจริงๆออสเตรเลียเป็นมหาลัยที่แบบค่อนข้างง่ายเพราะตอนที่แบบยื่นไปเนี่ยผมใช้แค่เรซูเม่กับ transcript มั้งถ้าจะไม่ผิดคือถ้าเกิดตอนไปอังกฤษเนี่ยคือมันต้องเขียนแบบ SOP แล้วแบบเป็น statement of purpose ว่าทำไมเราถึงอยากไปอะไรใช่ไหมครับแบบเขียนไปเรียงความเลยใช่แต่ว่าที่ออสเตรเลียจะเขาไม่ต้องการแบบนั้นเขาต้องการแค่แบบว่าแบบเรซูเม่เราว่าเป็นยังไงบ้างแล้วก็แบบเกรดเราว่าเป็นยังไงอะไรแค่นี้ครับแต่ว่าเรื่องทุนเนี่ยก็คืออาจจะน้อยกว่าอังกฤษหน่อยเพราะว่าอังกฤษเนี่ยทุนค่อนข้างแจกเยอะแจกกระหน่ำเหมือนกันแต่ว่าที่ออสเตรเลียเนี่ยคือเขาจะแบบทุนจะแบบค่อนข้างจะเป็นทุนสำหรับเหมือนกับเป็นทุนแบบน้อยๆครับเช่นแบบ 2,000 เหรียญ 3,000 เหรียญอะไรอย่างนี้มากกว่าถ้าเกิดอังกฤษจะเป็นแบบแบบเรียนฟรีเลยหรือแบบลด 50% เลยอะไรอย่างนี้ใช่ไหมคือมันจะดีกว่าเยอะเลย
แข่งสูงเหมือนกันค่ะแข่งสูงเหมือนกันเพราะว่ามันก็เหมือนออสเตรเลียค่ะเป็น destination ของคนหลายประเทศที่เขาจะไปเรียนต่อเนาะแล้วก็อีกอย่างหนึ่งก็คืออย่างประเทศอังกฤษเนี่ยก็คือใช้การศึกษาเนี่ยเป็นเขาเรียกว่าคล้ายๆเป็นแหล่งเงินหลักเลยแหละของประเทศอังกฤษเพราะฉะนั้นทุนก็คล้ายๆที่คุณเพิร์ทบอกค่ะก็คืออาจจะให้บ้างในประมาณแบบ 10% 5% อะไรอย่างเงี้ยค่ะแต่ว่าอย่าง 100% เนี่ยต้องนักศึกษาต้องมีแบ็คกราวด์ที่ดีมากๆอะไรเงี้ยค่ะหรือว่าอาจจะต้องมีประสบการณ์ในงานทำงานมาก่อนประมาณนั้น
ใช่จริงๆผมไม่เคยอยากไปอังกฤษเหมือนกันครับผมแต่พอดีแบบเหมือนมันเรียนสั้นไปหน่อยก็เลยแบบโอเคอยากเรียนนานๆจะได้แบบอยู่ได้นานๆอะไรเงี้ยเป็นผลหลักเลยอยากอยู่นาน
ๆจิตใจที่อะไรครับ
สวัสดีครับ
แล้วพี่ช่วยบอกข้อดีข้อเสียของการทำงานที่เกาหลีใต้หน่อยได้ไหมครับ
ถ้าเกาหลีใต้ผมไม่ทราบเลยครับผมพอดีไม่มีเพื่อนที่ทำงานที่ตรงในเกาหลีใต้เลยครับ
ครับ
อันนี้คือสนใจไปทำงานด้านไหนในเกาหลีนะครับผม
ธุรกิจอะไรเงี้ยครับ
โอเคคือแบบอารมณ์แบบเป็นด้านคล้ายๆแบบ MBA อะไรอย่างนี้ได้ป่ะครับที่อารมณ์แบบบริหารเนาะ
ครับ
โอเคถ้าเกิดด้านนี้ผมไม่ค่อยทราบเลยครับผมใช่
โอเคครับไม่เป็นไรครับแล้วถ้าเกิดว่าตอนนี้เนี่ยเรามีโอกาสไปมันมีโอกาสไหมที่เราทำงานแบบwork from home แต่ว่าทำงานจากบริษัทจากต่างประเทศพอจะมีโอกาสไหมครับ
มีนะครับผมก็คือแต่ผมว่าต้องลองดูว่าประเทศเขาเป็นยังไงบ้างเพราะว่าอย่างเช่นสมมติถ้าเกิดเราจะทำงานกับบริษัทที่ต่างประเทศใช่ไหมครับมันต้องมีเรื่องของว่าแบบเขาจะจ่ายเงินเดือนเรายังไงอะไรพวกนี้ด้วยแล้วก็เรื่องของภาษีหรือว่าเรื่องของแบบตัวประกันอะไรอย่างนี้ด้วยครับผมมันต้องมีหลายแฟกเตอร์เหมือนกันครับผมใช่เพราะงั้นถ้าเกิดหรือว่าอย่างน้อยคือถ้าเกิดอยากทำงานที่เกาหลีเนี่ยเราอาจจะเริ่มจากเป็นบริษัทที่ทำงานบริษัทที่แบบเป็นอยู่ที่ไทยแต่ว่าเป็นบริษัทที่ของเกาหลีก็ได้ครับผมแล้วก็ลองดูว่าเขามีโอกาสในการส่งคนไปอยู่ต่างประเทศไหมไปทำงานที่ออฟฟิศต่างประเทศนะครับผมครับน่าจะเป็นจุดที่ดี
ก็คือเราต้องก็คือเราต้องเริ่มจากงานแต่โดยการที่ว่าทำงานจากบริษัทลูกที่ไทยแต่ว่ามีบริษัทแม่ของพี่ประเทศเขา
ใช่ครับแล้วก็หาโอกาสเพราะว่าผมคิดว่ามันมีเยอะแหละเพราะว่าไงเขาต้องอยากอัพสกิลคนใช่ไหมคือเขาไม่อยากเอาคนออกเพื่อรับคนใหม่มาอยู่แล้วมันเสียเวลาในการเทรนไงเขาก็ต้องแบบอยากส่งคนไปอยู่แล้วครับ
โอเคครับ
แนะนำลองเป็นเวนี้ดูครับผมใช่ลองดูว่าแบบยังไงบ้างครับโอเคมีคำถามอื่นไหมเอ่ยครับผมถ้ามีคำถามก็พิมพ์มาถามนะครับเปิดไมค์มาถามหรือว่าทางไหนก็ได้นะครับผมสไลด์ดูก็ได้เนี่ยเปิดให้หมดแล้วนะครับ
ถามได้ไหมคะ
ได้
เกี่ยวกับเรื่อง data scientist ค่ะคือตอนนี้เมืองไทยเนี่ยกำลังจะเป็นเทรนด์ที่แบบถ้าบอกว่าน่าจะ2 ปีก็เป็นเทรนด์ที่บูมเนอะแล้วก็คนให้ความสนใจอย่างที่ออสเตรเลียเนี่ยอุตสาหกรรมตรงนี้เป็นไปยังไงบ้างคะ
ก็จริงๆมันเติบโตขึ้นเรื่อยๆเลยครับผมเพราะว่าอย่างถ้าเกิดสาย Data เนี่ยผมเคยแบบลองหาดูเมื่อวันก่อนก็คือแบบงานแบบเติบโตแบบมีคนกำลังหางานด้านนี้แบบเขาเรียกอะไรคือมีบริษัทหาตำแหน่งด้านเนี้ยเพิ่มขึ้นเยอะมากเลยครับผมจากปีที่แล้วก็ แบบเพิ่มขึ้นเรื่อยๆผมคิดว่ามันก็ยังโตไปเรื่อยๆเพราะว่าเรื่อง data ยังเป็นเรื่องที่แบบใหม่สำหรับหลายๆคนครับหลายๆบริษัทด้วยที่แบบว่าไม่รู้จะใช้ data ยังไงหรือว่าจะเก็บ data เข้ามายังไงอะไรเงี้ยเพราะงั้นก็สาย data engineer data scientist data analyst เนี่ยก็คือเป็นสายที่ยังน่าสนใจในการทำงานมากเลยครับไม่ใช่แค่ออสเตรเลียนะคือแบบที่ไทยหรือว่าแม้แต่ที่อเมริกาหรืออังกฤษอะไรก็ได้ก็ยังมีรูทางเยอะมากเลยครับเดี๋ยวจะมีเปิดสอนไหมครับผม
อยากเชิญมาสอนค่ะ คุณเพิ่นสะดวกไหมคะเดี๋ยวเราก็คุยกันหลัง
เดี๋ยว
จากนี้ ตอนแรกอาจารย์เข้าใจว่าคุณเพิร์ดออกทำเกี่ยวกับเว็บดีไซน์ตอนนี้ยังทำอยู่ไหมคะ
เคยมีรับอยู่ครับผมแต่ว่ารับเป็นฟรีแลนซ์มากกว่า
โอเคได้เพราะว่าถ้าเกิดมีโอกาสเนี้ยค่ะอย่างของที่คณะเองหรือว่าทางมหาวิทยาลัยเองอะค่ะเราก็อยากจะผลักดันนักศึกษาให้มีความสามารถทางด้านนี้เพราะว่าอาจารย์เห็นว่ามันมีอุตสาหกรรมตรงนี้ที่เป็นอุตสาหกรรมที่ถ้าบอกว่าในไทยเนี่ยมันอาจจะเพิ่งเริ่มหรือว่าเริ่มไปแล้วส่วนหนึ่งอะนะแต่มันมีช่องทางไปได้สูงมากพอสมควร
มีเยอะครับผมอันนี้ถ้าเกิดเป็นสาย data ก็คือยังขาดคนอีกเยอะเลยครับผมแบบมันเหมือนกับบริษัทต้องการคนแต่ว่าไม่มีคนที่จะไปฟิลในตลาดนั้นอะไรเงี้ยก็เลยเป็นแบบปัญหามากครับผม
เด็กๆถามได้นะคะ
มีอะไรถามได้เลยครับผมสนใจสายงานอะไรอย่างนี้ด้านไหนถามได้ครับ
โอเคครับปัจจุบันเนี่ยในตลาดงานต่างประเทศเนี่ยมีงานเด่นๆอะไรบ้าง
ครับจริงๆเดี๋ยวผมส่งบทความให้น่าจะง่ายกว่าเพราะว่าวันก่อนเหมือนมีแบบไปอ่านบทนี่นะครับผมเจอบทความอารมณ์ว่าแบบสายงานในอนาคตอะไรเงี้ยครับผมส่งบทความให้ทำไมเนี่ยบทความเยอะจังเลยช่วงนี้เพราะจริงๆบล็อกปกติจะเขียนกับเรื่องของ UX UI design อะไรเงี้ยครับแต่ว่าบางทีก็แบบมีลงเรื่องอื่นบ้างครับผมถ้าเกิดคิดว่าเป็นเรื่องที่คนน่าสนใจกัน
ครับแล้วบทความที่พี่จะส่งมาให้ทั้งหมดนี้ผมสามารถไปดาวน์โหลดได้ที่ไหนครับ
เดี๋ยวผมส่งในแชทให้ครับผมพูดหนึ่งผมหาก่อนอยู่ไหนนะ
โอเคครับ
เสิร์ชแล้วกันมันจะเป็นเรื่องกับว่าสายงานในอนาคตอะไรเงี้ยครับผมว่าเรียนอะไรดีครับผมนี่เผื่อแบบไปเป็นอินสปิเรชันได้ครับผมว่าอยากทำงานด้านไหนนะครับไปในแชทโอเคส่งไปในแชทเรียบร้อยนะครับผมเดี๋ยวผมเปิดให้ดูคร่าวๆก็ได้ครับผมก็คือมันเป็นบทความที่เกี่ยวกับพวกมันอันนี้เป็นเหมือนรีเสิร์ชของบริษัทต่างประเทศที่หนึ่งครับผมที่เขาแบบพูดกับเรื่องของว่าแบบถ้าเกิดอยากทำงานในอนาคตเนี่ยนะครับมันจะมีงานไหนบ้างที่ในแบบอาชีพที่เกิดขึ้นมาใหม่นะครับผมแล้วก็ข้อดีก็คือว่าอาชีพในนี้ครับเราสามารถแบบไปเรียนออนไลน์เพื่อแบบไปฝึกสกิลเพิ่มขึ้นมาได้ครับผมก็คือจะเป็นสกิลที่บางทีเนี่ยอาจจะไม่ได้สอนเยอะในมหาลัยแต่ว่าเราก็เก็บเพิ่มอาจจะแบบในมหาลัยจะสอนพื้นฐานมาแล้วเราต้องไปเก็บเพิ่มเติมในข้างนอกออกมานะครับผมอันนี้ถ้าเกิดเป็นเรื่องของเทคโนโลยีก็คือเช่นแบบเรื่องของ cloud computing นะครับเรื่องของ big data เรื่องของ internet of things ก็คือแบบทำพวกอย่างเช่นแบบเป็นตู้เย็นที่สามารถสั่งของได้อะไรอย่างนี้สมมุตินะครับผมแล้วก็มีแบบเรื่องของ security นะครับผมเรื่องของ AI นะครับก็จริงๆมีหลายเรื่องก็ลองไปดูได้นะครับก็อันนี้เป็น20อาชีพอนาคตผมลองเปิดมันใหญ่ขึ้นได้ไหมนะใหญ่ไปโอเคประมาณนี้แล้วกันนะครับผมก็คือถ้าเกิดลองดูในลิสต์เนี่ยครับมันจะมีแบบบอกด้วยว่าแบบอาชีพไหนที่น่าจะมาแรงในอนาคตนะครับผมเช่นแบบเมื่อกี้ที่เราคุยไปแล้วนะเรื่องแบบ AI เรื่องของ data นะครับผมแล้วก็เรื่องแบบถ้าเกิดเมื่อกี้น้องมาสาย marketing ใช่ไหมครับผมก็ลองไปดูแบบ digital marketing strategy อะไรพวกนี้ครับผมเพราะมันก็เป็นสายที่ค่อนข้างใหม่นะครับผมประมาณนี้แล้วกันนะครับลองไปดูบทความนั้นได้นะครับผมโอเคมีคำถามอะไรเพิ่มเติมไหมไม่มีครับในสไลด์ดูได้ครับมันก็โอ เคประมาณนี้ก็ได้ครับอาจารย์
ได้ค่ะ เด็กๆมีคำถามอะไรอีกไหมคะถ้าไม่มีก็เราสามารถจะติดต่อคุณเพิร์ทได้ทางช่องทางเมื่อกี้ใช่ไหมคะ
ใช่ครับสไลด์อีกทีหนึ่งหายไหนแล้วไม่รู้
ก็
อันนี้สไลด์ดีครับ
นะก็ไปติดต่อพี่เพิร์ท
ใช่
ได้นะคะ
มีคำถามอะไรก็ลองมาคุยกันนี้ได้นะครับผมอาจจะตอบช้าหน่อยจะไม่ตอบไม่เร็วเท่าในแชทตอนนี้นะครับ
ค่ะโอเคเพราะว่าตอนนี้ทางนี้ก็เที่ยงแล้วนะคะ
โอเคได้เลยน้องไปทานข้าวนะครับ
อาจารย์ก็ใช้พื้นที่ตรงนี้ต้องขอบคุณคุณเพิร์ทมากๆนะคะที่สละเวลานะคะมาบรรยายให้กับนักศึกษาของเรานะคะแล้วก็หวังว่าโอกาสนี้เนี่ยนักศึกษาเองก็ต้องใช้ความสามารถตัวเองเนาะแล้วก็ผลักดันตัวเองเนี่ยไปสู่ในสายงานที่ตัวเองอยากจะทำนะคะแล้วก็หาโอกาสถ้ามีโอกาสนะก็ไปทำงานต่างประเทศนะคะแล้วก็ไปเรียนรู้การใช้ชีวิตในต่างประเทศเนี่ยก็คือเป็นเขาเรียกว่าเป็นโบนัสให้กับชีวิตนะคะเพราะว่าชีวิตของคนเราเนี่ยมันอาจจะสั้นหรือยาวเนี่ยเราก็ไม่ทราบแต่ว่าถ้าเราหาโอกาสอยู่เสมอเนี่ยมันก็จะช่วยให้เราเนี่ยคือเขาเรียกว่ามี motivation มีเขาเรียกว่ามีแรงผลักดันให้กับตัวเองนะคะซึ่งตรงนี้เนี่ยอาจารย์ก็ขอบคุณจริงๆค่ะที่เข้ามาแชร์ประสบการณ์ให้เพราะว่าก็ไม่ได้หากันง่ายนะจริงคนไทยทำงานต่างประเทศแล้วก็ทำในสายงานตรงนี้แล้วก็มาแชร์กันประมาณนี้นะคะก็เดี๋ยวหวังว่าคราวหน้าเรามีโอกาสนะคะมากกว่านี้ก็อยากจะให้คุณเพิร์ทเนี่ยมาแชร์ประสบการณ์อีกนะคะให้กับน้องๆรุ่นถัดไปนะคะก็ในนามของหลักสูตรของเรานะคะสื่อสร้างสรรค์และเทคโนโลยีดิจิทัลนะคะขอบคุณมากๆเลยแล้วก็เด็กๆเป็นตัวแทนเด็กๆแล้วกันถ้าเกิดมีคำถามอะไรก็ติดต่อพี่เพิร์ทไปเลยนะคะนะเดี๋ยวอาจารย์ก็ขอบคุณนะคะแล้วก็ keep in touch นะคะแล้วก็ของสากิจเราเนี่ยก็คือจะมีการจัดอบรมอยู่เรื่อยๆก็หวังว่าคราวหน้าก็เด็กๆก็เข้ามาได้นะคะโอเคค่ะสวัสดีค่ะ
ขอบคุณมากเลยครับผมสวัสดีครับขอบคุณมากเลยครับผม
ขอบคุณครับ
อะไรครับ
ขอบคุณค่ะ
ขอบคุณครับผมโอเคมาทานข้าวกันครับขอบคุณมากเลยครับบ๊ายบายดีครับ